So what is AutoCAD? AutoCAD is a program that is used in multiple industries to draw two-dimensional objects, to draw floor plans, to draw parts, to draw models, to draw 3D models, and it gives you a way to visualize data. As you can see on my screen here, you have different examples. You know, there's clinics. You do clinics. I've got some tutoring questions in here, you know, different chapters that we're going to get into later on. You know, there's 3D orthographic examples, three-dimensional models. You can do assemblies with this, floor plan samples, and a bunch of other things. One thing to note is you can integrate AutoCAD with other programs. So AutoCAD can work with other programs from Autodesk, most notably Revit and Civil 3D. You can use those programs to kind of boost the capabilities of AutoCAD, if you can put it that way. This course is just about AutoCAD, and that's all we're going to get into. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's get right into it. Welcome back to lesson 2, everyone. Today we're going to do just basic drawing skills. So what you're going to do is you're going to open AutoCAD, and what you're going to do here is, if this doesn't look familiar to you, you don't know what you're doing, just relax, calm down. We'll get into that. So just, if you follow my cursor, go here on the left, you'll see new, click new, and you'll be brought to a new drawing. We're not going to talk about units in this lesson. I'll tell you how to set units in another lesson. So right now those are irrelevant. Forget about units if that's what you're worrying about. And we're just going to do lines, polylines, and circles today. So the first thing you guys are going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to be drawing? Where is my drawing tools? How do I do this? So you're going to see in the middle of your screen here, you're going to have a cursor. Everyone's settings in AutoCAD are going to be different. There are different settings. We will get into those later on, but for this video, it's not really important. You can adjust again. Just to preface, you can adjust things the way you need them, in any way, shape, or form. You can adjust the size of the cursor. You can adjust the size of, you know, your drawing space and everything. But again, that's for another video. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come up here to the top left-hand corner of the screen, and you should automatically be on the home button. If you're not already, just go and click on home, and then you'll see there's a bunch of tools here. You're going to see line, polyline, and circle. Those are the 3 tools we're going to learn how to use today, and I will describe the difference between them. So a line, if you click on line, you'll be able to, so yeah, once you click on line, you'll have the line tool, and you're going to see there's going to be coordinates on your screen that says specify first point. Now this is very important to note, because you can take these numbers and you can input coordinates where you want your line to start, or you can just click where you want your line to start. In today's lesson, we do not need coordinates. Just for you guys knowing, I am using the metric system, so if your numbers look like they're different, or they're in feet and inches or whatever, don't worry, don't panic, that's okay. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click somewhere, and you're going to want to draw a line. So just draw a line, doesn't matter how big it is, and that's it. Once you're done drawing the line, you're going to notice that it's probably going to go and want you to draw another line. This is not a polyline, this is a regular line. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click escape, and once you click escape, you will be brought out of the line drawing tool. As you can see, we have a very nice line. You can adjust line weights and everything. Again, that's later on. But congratulations, you just drew your first line in AutoCAD. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to the polylines. So if you click polyline, you're going to come here, and you're going to click, and then you're going to click maybe halfway down, and then I'm going to make a little angle here, and then I'll go down again, and then I'm going to match it up with this somewhat if you can. And then once that's done, once you've drawn this, click escape, and you will have your polyline. So one thing to note is here, I'll just make this easier to notice. One thing to note is when you draw a line or a series of lines, you're going to notice that there's one major difference between lines and polylines. So as you can see on my line drawing, when I go over and hover on my line, only one of my lines highlights instead of all of them. That's because we made individual lines and they're treated as individual objects. This doesn't seem like it's too, well, there doesn't seem to be too many repercussions to this right now, but when you get into other drawings, when you're trying to make detailed drawings and you want things to be connected, it can be an absolute nightmare when things are not connected properly. So lines are useful and they can be turned into polylines, but for the most part we'll be dealing with polylines for this course. Lines, again, are important to know. You can use them. You're not going to be penalized if you use them at all. It's a valid tool. There's multiple ways to do things in AutoCAD. We're not going to, criticize you for the things you choose to do that are easier for you. It's just we prefer to use polylines. So if I go here and I select my line, you're going to see that only part of it is highlighted. If I go and I select another line, then you're going to see I have to individually select each and every line in order for it to work. We don't want that for most cases. You can do it, it doesn't matter, but that's just the difference between a line and a polyline. And I'll show you here. If I go to the polyline, you saw that I clicked around and it created multiple lines like in the above here, except when I select it anywhere, the whole polyline is selected. So keep that in mind when you are using lines versus polylines. Again, I recommend using polylines because then your selection process is way easier. If we go back up here, we're going to see we got circles. We're just going to click on our circle and our circle tool will work. So what you can do here is you can just click down and the center of your circle will show up. And you need to specify the radius of a circle. So I'm just going to make mine, 194. And then you've got that. You can also select diameters. So you can make the diameter of the circle, you can choose the diameter of the circle, and that's the basic drawing tools. So one thing to note is these tools you're going to use very frequently. You're going to use polylines all the time, you're going to use circles all the time. We're going to get into arcs later on, and I'm going to show you, some of the other tools you can use. We're going to go over arcs, rectangles, and ellipses. We're taking off where we left off in lesson 2. This is going to be just as simple, just as easy, just follow along and copy. So if you didn't previously, and you didn't save your drawing, that's okay. I'm going to just open up my other drawing that I had. If you did save it and you figured it out, good for you. If you didn't, then what you're going to want to do is come up here and you're going to see, or actually, sorry, let me open my drawing first. So open your drawing. You can also open a blank one if you didn't save this and you just closed it. And if you come up here on the top left corner where the A symbol is, just drop down the menu and you're going to see there's a save and a save as portion. I recommend saving as. There's multiple different things you can do here. You can convert it to other formats. You can save it as multiple different file formats. We're not going to deal with that. Just save the drawing as a DWG file, which is the top one. I'm not going to do that right now because I already did. But anyways, let's get back into it. So, last time we talked about lines, polylines, and circles, how they're a little different from each other, specifically lines and polylines, and, we're going to get into the applications of those later on. Again, the main purpose of section 1 in this course is to just go over the basics of the program so you kind of know how to draw things. We get into more advanced features later on, again, in section 2. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the arcs. So what is an arc? Well, an arc is a way that you can create, an arc. It's, a quarter or half or whatever of a circle that you choose, and you can select the radius, you can select the 2 points where it goes, and you can just make it fit where you need it to fit, and you can adjust it based on what you need it to fit. So if you come up here, you're going to see arc. Now there's multiple different types of arcs. We're just going to deal with the 3-point arc. There's different ways you can adjust your arc in here. We won't really get into that. If you want to, play around with that later on, I'm probably going to have a, little assignment where you can, mess around with things and figure out how things work. So just click on the 3.1 or just click on the arc itself and it'll just automatically do the 3.1. So what you're going to want to do is select a point or whatever. I'm just going to connect it to one of my old drawings that I gave you guys in the previous lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the starting point of our arc, and then we're going to click the second point of our arc. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create the radius of the arc. So as you can see here, if I go right up to my 2 points here, my arc doesn't show up. You're going to have to stretch this. So there's multiple ways you can do this. You can either click it down and then you're going to have nothing happen, or you can just stretch it out a little bit to where you need it. So I'm just going to stretch it out just a little bit to where I need it, and there we have it. Now you can notice that there is a little bit of overlap here. that can always be trimmed out. I'm going to show you the trim command in a moment. So what you're going to want to do is, let's say I don't have this line here. You can see here that my arc is overreaching where I want it, but you know, the radius and everything is good. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the trim command. So there's two ways you can do this. You can type in trim, and the command will automatically come up. This doesn't just go for trim, this goes for almost every part of AutoCAD that you can use as a tool. You can type in what you need to use and it'll automatically go to that command without you having to click on it. But for your sake, for people who haven't done this before, we're going to do it the simple way. Go up here in your bar and you're going to see trim in the modify section. Click trim, and then just, you can click on what you need to get rid of. So I just trim that section out and it's gone. And to get rid of the tool, again, press escape. Keep in mind, it's good practice to press escape when you're done using a tool, because it helps you, not create problems when you're drawing. Because if you don't do that and you're just clicking other things, it can create issues whereby you're like deleting things you don't want to delete, you're adding things you don't want to add, you're getting random pop-ups show up asking you what you're doing. It's just good practice to click escape after you're done using a command. So keep that in mind. So that's how you make an arc. There's multiple other ways to do it. I just showed you a cheat way to do it. Again, this is all stuff we're going to apply later on. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to tackle rectangles. Now, you're probably thinking, well, rectangles, what's so special about rectangles? Well, you see how over here I kind of drew this weird thing, and let's say I just drew a rectangle here. I had to click all four corners. If I don't want to do that and I need a perfect rectangle or a square or whatever, I can just click in the corner I need and I can draw it down to the next corner that I need. You can also specify the size. So one thing I will touch on right now is you can see that the size is 1201.1818 by 297.9925. That isn't important, but what is important is if I want my rectangle to be, let's say, 1000 by 750. So we have this issue now where I can either go to 1000 manually and I can try to make it fit as best as possible, and then I could make it 750 in the other dimension, just manually like what you're seeing I'm doing now, but that's way too difficult. So what I recommend you do is you're going to see that the top of my rectangle is already highlighted. What that means is I can start typing and it'll put in the value that I want. And when I'm done with that value, if I click tab, or press tab, sorry, it'll bring me to the next value. So I'll give you an example. So right here you're going to see I want 1000. So I type in 1000 and then you can see it's at 1000. Do not move your mouse when you're doing this because you will mess everything up. Press tab. You're going to see that there's now a lock beside my 1000. The lock means that my size is locked in, and what that does is it prevents me from creating errors in that axis. So what you're going to see now is I want 750, and you're going to notice after I pressed tab that the other axis is now highlighted and I can adjust it. So I'm going to put 750. Once I have done that, I press enter, and my shape, my rectangle, my square, whatever I'm drawing, is at the exact dimension that I want it to be at. You're going to notice that when we went to the rectangle tab up here, there's also a polygon. I rarely see this used, but you can use it to create different types of shapes. So, you can enter a shape with 6 sides or whatever, and you can specify the corner or whatever of it. You can enter some options for it, but you can see that I have a 6-sided shape now. Useful to know, but not something we necessarily use where I work. So, if you want to do that and play around with that, be my guest. But that's the limits of our rectangle and polygon fun for now. The next thing we're going to touch on is ellipses. So if you come here, you're going to see the ellipse tool. So you can click the ellipse tool and your ellipse will show up. So what we're going to do is we want to specify the center of our ellipse. So what an ellipse is it's like an oval. So we're just going to click on the center. And then what we're going to do is we're going to specify a size. And you're going to see that once we specify a size, we get kind of like a side radius of it. And then when we start stretching it, it's going to stretch to the length we really need it at. There is applications for this. I've used it a few times, but for the most part, you can kind of do what this tool does by trimming circles and creating arcs. So it's got some uses, but it's not really too many uses. And if you bring the little bar down near the ellipse section, you're going to see there's different types of ellipses. You can create an elliptical arc. That's useful for, as you saw what I did before when I created the circle on the end of my little box thing. This can kind of make it a little more neat. So that's pretty much it. So then when we go here, we're going to see we've also got the hatch tool. I know this isn't in the lecture notes, but it's good to know. So what the hatch tool does is it lets you hatch your buildings or whatever. Hatching is a very important thing. There's gradients, boundaries, everything. This is all important to know. When I say touch on it, I mean like we're just going to barely touch on it. So you can see here what hatching does. It fills your space with a hatch. Useful for buildings and structures. That's later on down the line. So anyways, I'm going to show you how to save it because I didn't last time. So what we're going to do is go follow my cursor up here to the top left. You're going to see the save and save as. I'm going to click save because I already saved this as the udemy.dwg. So I just click save, but if you haven't already, then go to save as, click drawing, and from this point on you're going to want to save every time we're done something because I'm going to keep coming back to this, and this is what we're going to use as our template for all of our lessons. You're going to want to open your previous drawing or open a new drawing. So what we're going to do is click on Udemy 1. For this lesson, it doesn't really matter if you have a new drawing or not. Just make sure you've got a new space that you haven't adjusted units in. Once that's done, you can come down to the command bar, type in units, or if you have it set to your cursor, you can just type in units, and you're going to see there's the first thing that pops up is units. You're going to want to click on units, and this is going to allow you to adjust your units. So in here, you're going to see this is the very, very old version of this. I'll show you the new version. But this lets you select your units. I have mine set to architectural. So for this whole lesson we're going to use architectural. So press 4, press enter, and then it'll keep running through and showing you selections to have. But we don't want to do it from here. You can if you want. I just thought I'd show you. So we're going to get out of the command bar and we're going to type in units. We're going to click enter, and you're going to have this bar pop up. This is a much more user-friendly unit selection process than the one I just showed you. So come here, select architectural, select the precision at 1/16. This is what we're going to be using the entire time we're going through the course. So always keep it set to what I have here. If you forget what it is, write it down or come back to the video, look at it, and we will do our best to stay in these units because it's very important we work in the same units because it will be an absolute nightmare when I'm trying to mark things. So what you're going to do, set it to the way I have it. Your insertion scale is going to be in inches. Your precision is 1/16 of an inch. You're going to be in architectural units. Angle, we're not going to touch. Lighting is going to stay as international because that doesn't really apply to us. And then we're going to click OK. So that's how you set units in AutoCAD. Another thing you're going to want to do is we're going to learn how to modify things. So the modification scale is something that's very important. There's a lot of different tools in there that you will need. There's a lot of different things you can use in there. So the first thing we're going to learn about is moving. So if you want to move an object, there are a few ways you can do it. You can select your object and then type in move. And then once you have done that, select a base point from where you want to move. So one thing to keep in mind when you're adjusting things is the base point is where AutoCAD is going to reference that object from in relation to your cursor. So if I click in the middle of this thing I put here, and I click the middle, it's going to move in relation to the middle of my cursor. If I select the edge of it, so if I go and I move it again, and I click the top, it's going to move in relation to the top. So if you understand what I'm saying, it's very important to know how to do that, because let's say I want to have it snug up against the side here. I can select the middle of that, and I can snug it up perfectly, and there's no issues there. If I selected it at the top here and I moved it, I wouldn't be able to do that. So just keep that in mind when you're moving objects. It's a very versatile tool. It's very, very important to know, and it really will help you out. The next thing you guys are going to want to learn is you're going to want to learn how to rotate. So we're just going to select our object again, and we're going to type in rotate. Once we select that, we can select the base point where we want it to rotate. So if I click the corner, it will rotate from that corner. If I select the middle, it'll rotate from the middle. So I type in rotate again. I select the middle of my object, and you're seeing it's rotating from the middle of my object. Very, very simple, very basic to learn how to do. One thing to note when you are moving, if you can't type in, there's a command for that I will teach you how to do later on. That will allow you to do what I'm doing and just type things in. So just keep watch for that video. It is going to come out. So what you're going to want to do is, if you can't do that, you're going to want to click up here, click Move, select the object, and then press Enter. And then you can select the base point for where you want to move it from. The same goes for rotating. You select Rotate, select your object, press Enter, select the base point you want to rotate from, and you can do the exact same thing I was showing you. This goes for every command. And then there's the trim command. Trimming is very, very important because it helps you get rid of crap you don't need. So what you can see here is we have this box here that we drew. What we want to do is, let's say I want to get rid of the right hand side. So if I take the trim command, I can just erase it. There's a few more things in trim that are a little more difficult to understand, but for the most part, trim works a lot better than it did in previous versions of AutoCAD. So see, I can just delete that. And then once I'm done deleting my objects, it's important that you press Escape and you get out of it. If you want to undo, you can obviously press Control Z and you can get out of there. So what we're going to do now is learn how to copy. So when you copy, you do the same thing. You click on Copy, select the object you want to copy, press Enter, specify the base point that you want to copy it from. So I'm going to do the center. You can also do a corner or whatever you need. And then what you do is you can just place it down wherever you need it. It will keep on copying as long as you have the command active. So when you're done copying objects, press Escape and it will get rid of the command. Remember, Escape is your best friend when you're using the program, and especially when you're using modify commands. The next command we're going to get into is mirroring. So if you click Mirror, you can select your object, press Enter, and then you can specify a point to mirror. So I'm just going to do this point, and it's going to mirror from that point. And you're going to see that it copied the whole thing over. And then once you've copied it, you can erase the source object, or you can keep it. So in this case, I'm going to keep it, and it's perfectly mirrored. We'll open the drawing I've been using for the course, and what we're going to do is we're going to start drawing. So the basics of drawing is something that you need to understand very in depth, because basic shapes are the foundation of everything you will do in AutoCAD. There's other skills you need to know, of course, too, but drawing basic shapes is really what helps you learn what the program is. It helps you learn how to use the program, and it shows you how you can do things in the program. And as you get more experienced, you can take basic shapes and put them together to create complex shapes. So what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to draw something that is very common in AutoCAD in the architectural industry, and that is a square or a rectangle. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to either take a polyline or a line, and we're going to draw a rectangle, or we're actually going to draw a square. So start in a corner somewhere, actually, you know what? Let's redo this. Let's set units, because in the previous lesson we had to learn how to set units, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in units. We're going to go to our unit command, we're going to click Enter, and I want you to set your units to what I'm using for ease of use for everything, and this is what we're going to stick to the entire time. So I want you to go from decimal to architectural, keep your precision at 1/16 of an inch. Your insertion scale is going to be in inches, and your angles and everything, that'll be left alone, so decimal degrees. Precision will be at 0. Lighting is going to be kept at international units. And then once you're done that, click OK. So now we're on the same page. So what we're going to do is go up here, click the polyline, and now we're all in the same scale. So click somewhere, and then I want you to draw a line that is 25 feet. And then once you're down, 25 feet, 0 degrees. And then I want you to draw another one that's 20 feet, 0 degrees. And then I want you to connect those lines and just create your square. So you can see here when I'm drawing, there are multiple ways to do this. So I could just go straight and do what I did the previous 2 times and type in my commands. But once you have half of a rectangle, you're going to notice AutoCAD kind of does some math for you, and it tells you, okay, well, you've been using this line, and this line is connected to another line, which is connected to what you're drawing, and it looks like you're trying to create a square of some kind. So as you can see on my screen, I have an x-axis and a y-axis green, directional lines that are showing me like, hey, this is the point where you're going to have it exactly the same length as the previous line you drew that is parallel to this one, and it's also lining up with the point you had where you started from. So what this does is I can just click here and my line is perfectly in line with my other line, and there you have it. So I'm just going to show you another way to do it too, is so instead of doing what I just did by going up and then lining it up, you can also just type in 25 feet and then keep your angle at 180. Do not move your angle. One thing you're going to have is when you're playing with AutoCAD and you're using the program, sometimes it's an absolute pain in the butt to get your angles correct. You need to be very specific, and you need to tell the program what to do. Telling the program what to do is the most important thing for you. Just keep that in mind. And then another thing you can do is, you could also just type in, 20 feet again, and it'll line up perfectly. But I much prefer the initial way where you go up, you line it up, and then you click it off, and then you press escape. It's up to you how you do that. You can also just mirror this, but we're not going to get into that yet. So that's how you draw a basic rectangle for now. So what we're doing is, as I'm discussing this with you, I'm preparing you for the final project. The final project is going to be very complex. So please pay attention. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a circle into our rectangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to call our rectangle, it's going to be a property line, let's say. It's a perfectly rectangular property line. That never happens, but anyways, we're going to draw a circle for, I don't know, a water barrel or whatever. So we've got a 25 feet by 20 foot, and then let's say our water barrel is 3 feet. So we take our water barrel. I purposely drew it out of lines. So what you're going to do is click circle, like I just did. I completely forgot to explain it. Click circle, and you're going to draw out a circle that is about 3 feet. Mine's completely off. It doesn't matter how big it is for you. Just make sure it's around 3 feet. Once you have that, you're going to want to move. So select the base point. So when you type in move, the move command is something that's very important. That again, I will talk about that later on. But the move command is something that is very important when you're trying to adjust things in AutoCAD. You're going to use the move command a lot. You're going to rotate a lot. You're going to mirror a lot. You're going to scale a lot. You're going to stretch a lot. They're very, very important commands to know. So what you're going to want to do is type in move, or come up here to the modify and click move. Select the object that you want to move, and then press enter. And then you're going to see there's going to be points where you can move it from. So keep in mind when you are moving an object, where you click is where the object is going to move relative to. So if I click the center, I'm going to move the object from the center. If I click on the end here, then it's going to move relative to the end of my cursor. If I move, up here, then it's going to move relative to, wherever I click pretty much. So what I want you guys to do is just move it into the perfect center of your drawing. So one way you can do that is, select the center of your circle, and then go down, and then select the center of your line here, and then you can select the other center. Oh, sorry about that. I'll show you a few ways to do this. Just note, we have to go over how you can do this in a better way. And then once you've got that lined up, it should snap right in the middle, and that's right in the middle of our drawing. If you are having issues with snapping, one thing you can do is come down here in the bottom right hand corner. You're going to have tools down here that help you determine what things will snap to. So if you click on that arrow there, you're going to see you can select 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever. We're not really going to deal with that, but if you come to this one here, this is going to tell you where your cursor will try to snap to. I recommend you set everything I've got here. So pause the video, set your AutoCAD to snap where mine is snapping, because that way we're not going to have any issues when I'm trying to explain things to you. You can also see there's other types of snapping. There's perpendicular insertion snapping, other ones that I'm not using right now because I don't use them, but they can be important in other cases. So just keep that in mind. Once you've drawn your circle and your rectangle, we can just draw a line from the corner onto the other corner of that, and we'll do this. Grab another line, grab this, put it in the other corner, and then grab another line, grab that, put it in the other corner, and make something that looks like this. You're probably wondering, what are we drawing? We're not really drawing anything. We're just getting used to the commands. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lesson 6. In today's lesson, we're going to go over the Modify tab. We're continuing the Modify tab. In the previous lesson, we drew a bunch of shapes, and we're going to use those shapes to continue on with modifying. So what you're going to want to do is open our previous project. If you didn't save it, that's okay. You can just kind of make a rough estimate of what we were doing, just draw it, and we'll get started. So I'm just going to open up my program here, and you're going to see that we have our shape from last time. I also drew 2 lines here to show you the fillet command, which is exactly where we're going to start off. So the fillet command fills things, as you can tell. So what you're going to want to do is click the fillet command, click object number 1, click object 2, and you're going to see it's going to fill our object. So what fillet does is it creates, it fills empty space. There's 3 types of it. So there's the basic fillet command, there's the chamfer command. In this object it won't be any different. And then there's the blend curves command for filleting. So I'm going to click blend curves to show you what that does, because in chamfer won't work for this one. I'm going to click it, and you're going to see that it's going to blend the curves of my objects. I don't have any curves on these objects, so it creates a curve, and that's how you deal with filleting. So the other commands we have, there is the stretch command. So the stretch command is very important because it helps you stretch objects. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make this one. So type in unite. Once you select the entire object we have, and then type in unite. This command is very useful when you're trying to adjust things relative to each other. I use it all the time. Type in unite, and then select your object and type in stretch. So we're going to specify the base point of our stretch, and you're going to see it's not going to stretch here. So another thing you can do is, for the stretch command, is you're going to notice that if you come down here on the corner of my object, I have options here. I can stretch, add a vertex, or convert to an arc. I'm just going to stretch it, and you can see that I'm stretching my block, and that's pretty much what you do. We're going to just put it back to where it was, and then so once we move on from stretch, we've got the scale command. Scaling is kind of the same as stretching, except you scale from a corner. So what we're doing is we're scaling our object now. You're going to see we don't have it perfectly united. That's okay. We're just learning the commands right now. And you're going to see that scaling scales relative to where you select. So when you're scaling, if I click the corner, you're going to see that it's scaling relative to the corner of the drawing. So it's growing in proportion to the corner of my drawing. So another thing to note is your scale factor is based on the units you select. So we have it in feet and inches right now. So to put it into perspective, 1 foot is 100% of our drawing for the scale factor. 2 feet is 200%, 3 feet is 300%, and so forth and so forth. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If we scale it to 2 feet, then we're going to notice that it is absolutely insane. Sorry, I meant inches if you do 2 inches. So what I just explained before, but in inches. So that's how you scale a drawing. The next thing to do is there is the array command. Now there's 3 different types of arrays. We're only going to deal with rectangular arrays, not path arrays, not polar arrays. We just need to know how to use rectangular arrays. If you want to play with path arrays and polar arrays, I encourage you. They work almost in the exact same way. And it's not too difficult to figure out once you figure out how to use array. So we're going to click on rectangular array. We're going to select the center of our object here. We're going to press enter. And you're going to see this grid is going to pop up of our object. So there are multiple different ways you can adjust this. So you can adjust it by typing in the exact specifications, or you can type it in by, or not type it in, you can adjust it based on these arrows. So if I pull this arrow, it's going to adjust it in this direction on the right. If I pull on this arrow, it's going to pull it up. And so to describe it to you, the arrow that is closest to your object is going to be used to increase the gaps between the array. It's not going to increase the amount of objects in the array. But if I select the second one, then it should increase my array in that direction and increase the amount of objects. So I'm just going to pull that a random amount of times and that as well. And you're going to see that I've created this array. This is very useful if you have a lot of objects that are in a lot of the same object or blocks in the same area. Another thing you can do is if you click on this will pull, if you click on the square in the top right corner, this will make it so that so you don't have to pull the two furthest arrows, both. You can just pull this one and it'll create an array relative to how big you want it. So we're just going to do 5 by 5, and then we're gonna escape, and then that's an array. So keep in mind with arrays, it's something that's kind of important to know. You're going to use them not too frequently, but frequently enough that you need to know them. Everything else in here is useful, like lengthen. That's, you can just grab things instead of just typing that. You can edit polylines, you can edit splines, you can hatch, edit arrays and everything in here. This is just editing tools for pretty much these things up here. And then you can delete duplicate objects, you can bring things to front, copy nested objects. That's all stuff that we will maybe get into later. So once that's done, you pretty much know how to use most of the modify commands. Another thing you can do is you can offset, you can explode, and you can erase. So obviously erasing erases things. Exploding blows up blocks. So I will get into that later because you're going to need to know how to use that. And offsetting is something that we will go into today. So to offset, what offsetting is you select an object. So let's select this line here, and it creates a duplicate kind of a distance away. So if I click that and I click offset, so what it's going to do is it's going to set an offset distance. So what we're going to do is you can type in an offset distance, or you can make an offset distance. So I'm going to make my distance that far, and you're going to see that it created a duplicate object based on the specifications I gave it, which is from the middle here to the middle here. And you can see that because of the way my object is, if you're using offset with straight lines, which I'll show you in a minute, it won't do this, but since I'm using multiple lines in an object like this, if I go behind it, it's going to be shorter because it's all relative to the lines you're at, and it's going to make it bigger if I go the other direction. So just keep that in mind when you're using the offset command. So we're just going to click back, and we're going to have that. And then if I go and I offset, let's say I want to offset only a line. So let's just draw a line for a sec. And then if I want to offset that, I click the offset command. I'm going to specify my offset distance. Let's make it 2 feet. You can specify an actual distance by selecting it like I did before, or you can type it in. I'm going to press 2 feet, and then I'm going to select this. And you're going to see that it's going to offset by 2 feet. Now, if you can continue offsetting, and it's going to be exactly what you had the previous time. So you can see that as my line is being offset, all these are perfectly 2 feet apart. This is a command you're going to use frequently, and I am going to encourage you to use it when you're doing your main drawings, because it's really useful to know, and a lot of people kind of neglect to use it. So that's pretty much all the commands we're going to go over in the Modify tab. Again, so after this you're going to have assignment 1. I said in the previous lecture that you were going to have assignment 1 after that lesson, but I thought I would put in the Modify tab continued so you kind of get an idea of what to do. I'm going to modify assignment 1 to incorporate what you've all learned in the modifying, and once you're done that, you can move on to learning more advanced things like layers, annotation, making and editing blocks. We're going to learn how to XREF and offset, and then we're going to have our final quiz for chapter 1. So after this, go in, prepare for the assignment, do the assignment. It's relatively simple, and we'll see you after that. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in lecture number 7. Today we're going to learn about layers and their importance in AutoCAD. So what I want you guys to do is you can open a new drawing, you can open our previous drawing. I'm going to open our previous drawing, and we're going to get right into it. So what is a layer? A layer is something that you can use in AutoCAD to separate different parts of your drawing. So you can have a dimension layer, you can have a window layer, you can have a door layer, you can have a wall layer, you can have a roof layer. So layers are a way for you to segregate your drawing into different parts, and if one of them needs adjusting, you don't need to go and destroy everything. You can just go and you can make layers disappear for a while, you can make layers disappear for a bit, you can make them disappear for forever if you really want to, and it's a way to just adjust things and see things differently if you need to get rid of things to look at other things. It's very important, especially when you get into more complex structures like we will be getting into later on. If you're wondering why we're going to do structures, it's because learning how to do structures is how I learned how to do AutoCAD, and it's also a very good way for you to learn the program and have to use it at a professional level, and you learn really quickly doing it. With that said, let's get into layers. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to see the layers. It looks intimidating, it really isn't. Just come up here, go to layer properties, and this box is going to show up. So just drag that into the middle of your screen, and this is going to show you where all your layers are. You can have as many layers as you want. You can use as many layers as you need to use. When we get into other videos and we start drawing actual buildings, I want you guys to separate your structure into parts like walls, windows, and doors, and roofs and stuff like that. Because that'll teach you how to use the program and use the layers properly. Because when you're going into industry or you're doing this, you can impress your teachers with it, and then you're also ahead of the curve when you're trying to do actual work with it. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to just look at this, breathe, relax. So up here is the on. So what this does is it turns the layers on or it turns the layers off. So the light bulb, as you can see, I turned it off. It made the entire drawing disappear because all of the objects on my drawing right now are the first layer. It's called layer 0, I think. It doesn't matter. You can also freeze layers. Freezing layers makes them disappear temporarily, and you can always turn them back on. It's kind of like the light bulb, except it's more, directed, you could say. And you can't freeze the current layer you're on. So keep that in mind. You can also lock layers. So when you lock a layer, you cannot edit it. It makes it gray, and you can't edit it. So just keep those unlocked for now. You can print specific layers. This is why layers are important. If I'm drawing a building and I want to, do just the walls, or I want to print just the walls, or I want to print the driveway, or I have a house on a lot and I only want to print the house, not the lot, then what I would do is I would print my house layers, or I would print my lot layers if that's what I want to print, or whatever. So anyways, and then there are commands here. So there's the set current layer, so that sets your current layer. Another thing you do is just double click. There's delete layer. So what that does is you delete the layer you're on and you erase everything from it. You do not do that unless you really know what you're doing. There's the freeze layer. We already went over that. And then there's new layer. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click new layer. Another thing you can do here is you can create new property filters. That's not really something you need to know right now, but you're going to just create a new layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this test layer 1. And what we're going to do with test layer 1 is we're going to move to test layer 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to see that it's highlighted. Click the check mark 1 here, or you can double click it. As you can see, double clicking switches layers as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to freeze the previous layer we were on, so everything disappears. So as you can see, everything has disappeared and we have a clean slate. We're obviously not going to keep it off forever, but we're just going to do that just so you guys get used to this. And I want you to play around with that if you want to and just figure it out. So we are in test layer 1. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to select a color. So I'm going to use red, and I'm going to click OK. And then when you're selecting colors, different colors for different layers is very important because it helps you determine, and it tells you which layer an object is on. You're going to see the line type we have is continuous. If you don't want continuous, I'm going to show you how to load other ones. So if you click load, you're going to have a whole whack of all these other line types you can select. I'm going to go here and we're going to select just, let's see, ISO dash. We're going to click OK. And then it's not automatically loaded into your drawing. You have to manually select it and you have to manually get it to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that. We're going to click OK. And then it's going to load in that. You might not be able to see it if you're drawing with it yet. We have to get into annotation later. We'll do that another time. Line weight is how thick your line is going to be. Let's just do 0.4 millimeters. Click OK. And then transparency values, we're not going to deal with that, and that's pretty much it. So that's what layers are. We're going to continue with layers in the next lesson. That wraps up the basics of the layers, but we're really going to start getting into layers next time. So as you can see, I have my layer frozen still. We're just going to leave it as that. and we still have the test layer 1 that we dealt with last time. So what we're going to do, and what I want you to do, is I want you to create 2 more layers. I will do this as well. If you're still kind of confused on what to do, just follow along. So the first thing you want to do is come here, click the one with the little sun, click new layer. We're going to call it test layer 2. We're going to make test layer 2 a different color. I don't care what color you make it, but I'm going to make mine blue. And I'm going to keep the line weight the same as the previous one. You can play around with that if you want. And then we're going to make test layer 3. I'm going to change it from blue, and I'm going to make it green. And there we have it. So I'm keeping the line weights and everything the same. That's something you can adjust. And that's pretty much what we're going to do. So what I'm going to show you now is how you use layers. It's just a very basic example. This isn't meant to be, you know, a really comprehensive, in-depth thing, because that's stuff we're going to do later. We're just, again, getting into it. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select test layer 1. You know, you can either click it, click the check mark, or you can, you know, double click it, whatever. You can even come up here and select your layer from the drop down menu if that's how you prefer to do it. You know, there's many ways to do things in AutoCAD, and there is right and wrong ways, but for a lot of things there is multiple ways to do the same thing, and they're not necessarily right or wrong. So as you can see here, we have test layer 1. So we're going to get our rectangle. I want you guys to draw a rectangle. So I'm just going to draw a red rectangle. Let's assume this is the the boundary of a property or something like that. So that's what that is. And then let's say I want to have multiple smaller boundaries in there. So I go, let's say, to the center. I draw a line down the center. One thing to note is you can draw this. You can have the dimensions as large as you want. I'm just giving you an example of how this works. You don't really have to, do what I'm doing. Just, listen to what I'm saying, because you're going to have to apply this later. If you feel like following along, I do recommend following along, because it helps you when you actually do things. You learn by doing, and your brain starts to then make those connections. And again, what we're doing is we're separating our land. I'm just going to make 4 equal plots. So right now we're going to see, okay, well, that's my layer that I was using for property lines. I want to draw, maybe a river goes through all of these. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. One thing I would like you to do, though, is now go to layers, and we're going to rename test layer 1. This is a good way to show you. So what you can do is if you right click and you come here, you can also press F2 when you have the layer selected. It'll be the rename layer. We're going to call this property boundaries. And then we're going to call test layer 2, we're going to call that river. And then for test layer 3, we're going to do structure boundaries. Again, this is just so you guys get used to using this. So what I want you to do is select river. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a river. So, we're in the layers command. I didn't show you how to do splines yet, but this is a great way to teach you guys how to do splines. So come down to draw. Just click down, and you're going to see there is a command around here called spline. So there's spline fit, there's spline CV. We're just going to do spline fit. So if you click that, you're going to have the spline command. Start in the top right corner. We're going to draw to about the middle section of, let me just see if I can get that going here. The middle section of this parcel here. And then I'm going to draw another one coming down to here. And then let's say I have it coming out here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press enter, and then my spline is set. One thing to note is I didn't change the line types for anything. That's okay. We're going to just deal with this right now, and I'll show you how to switch that after. So what we're going to do now is, this is also a great time to use the offset command. So I've drawn the boundaries of my river. Obviously a river isn't going to be this perfect. Obviously there's different features, but again, this is just a tutorial. We're going to offset this. So we're going to click our line. We're going to type in offset. You can type in the command bar, or you can select the command from up in the menu above in the modify. It's on the right hand side, 2 down from erase. So it's right down here, the offset command. And then we're going to specify the distance. So let's say I want it to be, let's do 5 feet. So I offset it 5 feet, and then I can select which side I want to put it on. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the inside. So there's our river boundaries, and then we're going to press escape, and we're just going to adjust this so that it comes out a little bit so it looks nice. Now we're going to pull this one down, and there you have it. So that's offset and spline in conjunction with learning how to do layers. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come to structure boundaries. And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, okay, well, we have these plots. We want to figure out where we're going to put buildings. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're going to go to rectangle. And we're going to just draw, you know, the house is going to go, let's say, here. And then another thing what we're going to do is, you know, let's say I want to, this will be the driveway, you know, 10 feet or whatever. One thing to note is if you see what just happened is it snapped, there is a command to get rid of that so it doesn't snap, but you can also just pull it back, pull it to the middle and leave it there. So I've got a house, I've got a driveway, and then down here, let's say I want to have a house. This house isn't going to have a drive. Well, you know what? It will have a driveway. We'll just get a polyline for this one, go up, and do with that. So as you can see, I drew just rectangles here. I used a polyline here, and then I used a rectangle here. You can see how you can use different tools multiple times. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to change the line types of our house and our river boundaries. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to layer properties, and we're going to adjust these. So we're going to go to line type for the blue one, click on that, and we're going to just switch that back to continuous. And you're going to see it's going to switch back to continuous. So it's a continuous line now. And then we're going to, pardon me, we're going to go back to the structure, and we're going to switch this one as well. We're going to load a new one for this, and we're just going to do ISO dash, or ISO dot, sorry. Click OK, and then we're going to click the dot, we're going to click OK, and then it's going to be a dots now. So you can see that this one is now dots, the house is now dots, and we've got our lines for the property line, and then we just have a continuous one for the river. So that's pretty much how you do lines in layers. Sorry, that's how you do layers, and that's how you edit lines in layers. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to deal with annotation. So in the next one, I'm going to give you a drawing that I've worked on, and we're going to annotate it together. It's going to be set up properly. I'm going to show you how to do that. So, you know, thank you for tuning into this one, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome to lesson 10. In today's lesson, we're going to go over annotation and annotative styles, and I'm going to tell you what they are, how they work, and how we can incorporate that into a drawing. You're going to notice last week that I gave you a resource to download. Please download it and open it in AutoCAD. I have it right here, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So just click on House Resource, which is what I gave you. You know, double click it if you downloaded it, whatever, and it should automatically open in AutoCAD. If it doesn't, right click on it, and then it'll show you the drop down menus. Just click Open With, and then Open with AutoCAD. So just click House Resource, and we'll be brought to this. So what is annotation? So annotation is giving your drawing text, pretty much. It's a way for you to communicate what you've put on the drawing with those who you're giving the drawing to. So if you come up here, you're going to see this is the annotation bar. We have our text, dimensions, linear dimensions, leaders. You know, there's also other types of dimensions that we'll get into in a minute. Leaders and then tables as well. So you're going to come here and you're going to notice that we have different styles here. So I have everything set to annotative. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on annotative. If yours isn't set to annotative, switch it to annotative. It should be beside the standard. Click OK, and then we're going to click on our dimension. We're going to come down here and we're going to draw our dimension over. So you're going to see that our style is very small. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're going to come back down to annotation. And you're going to notice our text style changed. We're going to make that annotative again. We're just going to come down to the dimension style, click that, and we're going to create a new style. So this is important to know too, because annotative styles don't always work the way you want them to be. You can also adjust annotative styles. It should have a pop-up that asks you what scale you want to use it. You can set it to the scale you want to use it. I set mine to 1:1 accidentally, so now I have to go through and fix it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on New, and what this is going to be is it's going to be new version annotative. Just name it what I named it. It's going to start with annotative, keep it annotative, use for all dimensions. Click continue, and then we're going to be able to adjust it. So you're going to notice there's multiple things we can change here. You know, and what we're going to do is we're just going to do none for the method. Let's see, vertical positioning. All of this is all X'd out. We don't need to worry about any of this. This is fine. Our lines, everything, keep it by block. You know, it'll have the spacing and everything. Just leave that. That's fine. Symbols and arrows. Here you can change your arrows. We're just going to leave it as closed. You can use whatever you want. I will never, you know, penalize you for that. You can maximize, you can increase the size of the arrows. So we're just going to come here and we're going to see, you know, what we're going to do. So I think we'll probably do, let's do 5 inches just to show you guys what's going on. Press enter and that'll show you the change. So when you press enter, that'll show you the change. So you can see that the arrows grew. And then we go to text. Text height, we're going to change that as well. So it's at 2.5 and it's way too small for us right now. So why don't we triple it? We'll make it 7.5. We're not going to draw a frame. We're going to click OK. That should work. We're going to close, and that's what we're going to do. So then we're going to come here. We're going to set our dimension style to the new version we created, and you're going to see it grew. So that's how you can adjust annotative styles. You can create your own styles and everything like that. So you can see it's already bigger, but is it as big as we want? Yeah, I think that's sufficient. So the next thing we want to do is we want to check our units. So type in units, go to the units like I showed you last time. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep it at architectural. That's good. Inches, feet, yep, that's good. Yeah, everything's right where we want it to be. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make sure that our style is displaying in the format we want. Obviously, I don't want it like in inches. So what we're going to want to do is come here, go to our dimensions. We're going to go and we're going to modify our new annotative style. We're going to go to our primary units, and it's in decimal. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Your main units is separate from your dimension style units. You have to set these generally manually, not all the time, but you do have to do it a lot of the time. So you can set it to engineering or architectural. We're just going to do architectural. We're going to make the precision 1/16. Then we're going to click OK. We're going to click close, and you're going to see that we're getting our dimensions now in architectural units. So it's 5 feet, 5 inches, and 3/16 of an inch. So that's perfect for us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to dimension everything. So I'm just going to go here. And when you're dimensioning, you have 2 options. You can either grab the corner you want to put the dimension in and bring it over to the next corner. And then when you're doing dimensions, you always want to line them up with the other dimensions unless it's at a different height or whatever, just because, well, you know what, I'll show you later. So what you want is I'm going to show you, I have to do this for multiple areas because I have such varied dimensions here. So, you know, this window should be the same as that window, so I don't have to add that, and it is. So, and then this wall should be the same as this wall, so I don't have to add that. But then I also need to do how long the entire wall is. So I'm going to drag that across. I'm going to bring this up, and that'll show me the entire length of my wall. Another way you can do this is if you're doing shorter ones and it's a complete line, you can just click on the line, and you can see that it just did the dimension for me automatically without me having to grab from one side or the other. And then we're also going to do that for here. So just go, you know, up and down and put dimensions where you believe they need to go. So we're going to put that there. We're going to put one here. We're going to put one here because it should be the same as the other side. We're just going to assume it is. And I'm not going to put one on this going up and down because I have one there. I will put one from here to here. And I'm going to want to make sure it's lined up. So as you can see, when I'm lining things up, I can just, it'll keep the dimension going up and down, but I can line it up with my cursor. So then I'm also going to do the window. Put that up. And then I'm also going to select to do from this corner to the end, just for the sake of being able to read things. And this is pretty much how you do dimensions in AutoCAD. So you're also going to notice you can do angles and everything. So this is an angled one. So if you're having issues, you're going to notice that it'll switch from angled to, you know, a square at any point. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. If you come up here and you go to the different dimension size, you could select, you can lock in what you're going to use. So if you want to lock it in to be linear, lock it in to be aligned, lock it in to be angular, you can lock in all these different types of different types of sizes, so that's what you're stuck in using if that's what you're using. So I'm not going to go through and do this whole thing, but I want you guys to go and do everything you think you need to do. Obviously, I'm going to do the driveway here. just to show, how long it is and everything like that. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the garage door. And that's it, pretty much. So that's how you do dimensions in AutoCAD. So a similar type of thing called a leader exists. So what a leader is it's, let's say I have 3 windows here. I can click my leader. I can pull it down. I'm going to keep it red, and I can type in double windows or whatever. That's just what we're going to write. So we'll put double windows. So I'm just going to edit the text. If you need to edit the text, just double click on the text. We got our double windows. We're going to save our changes, and that's a leader. So, but I want to have it on 3. So if I want to have it on 3 windows, then I just come down here where the leader is, click Add Leader. I select my main leader, and then I just drag it over to where I want it, and it'll let me add the leader wherever I want to go. So I'm just going to add it like all the way over here. And then if you have one that you don't want, that's like, okay, that looks ugly, you can come here, you can go to Remove Leader, you can select the multi-leader, so the main drawing, you select the whole thing, and then you can just get rid of the ones you want. And then once you're done selecting the ones you want, you press Enter, and it's gone. So I'm just going to change that back to leader. And we've also got text. So what we can type here is, you can use our text, and we can type in like main house example 1. And then you're going to see it's a little small. So what we can do here is we can come back to annotation. We can go back to our text styles, and we can adjust the size. So I can go and I can make it much larger. So it's at 0 now. If I do 1 feet, I press Enter, set current, close. It should adjust it. It didn't. Or another thing you can do is if you don't have a lot of text, you can just type in the scale command, and then you can just scale your text out so it shows up. I don't recommend you do that unless you only have one thing to draw, or one main text. But it is doable in this scenario. So again, if we come down here to text, you can go here. We'll measure, or we'll edit the text style. It didn't adjust last time, so we'll make a new one. I'm going to call this Style Edit 1. Click OK. Go to Style Edit 1. We're going to change the paper text height to 2 feet. We're going to change the width factor to 2. We're going to click Apply. We're going to do, I don't know, bold. Let's do bold. Click Apply. Click Close, and that's it. So then when we come here and we want to write main house example 1, you can already see it's much bigger than our previous one was. So when you're, and I mean, it's a little ugly because I stretched it a bit, but it gets the point across and it works. So I encourage you to go and mess around with text styles and figure things out. Yeah, that's the main video for now. In the next lesson, I'm going to have to go over my notes, but I do believe you have a quiz coming up. I'm going to encourage you to keep this drawing that you're annotating, because we're going to need that in a future video. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in lesson 10, and in lesson 10 we're going to learn how to create and edit blocks. This is something that is important for you to know. I'm going to show you how to deal with them. These are just basic blocks. These are not dynamic blocks. That's something we get into, that's a more advanced feature. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to open a new drawing. We're going to ignore what we were working on last week, and we're just going to, kind of get our blocks ready for what we created. We're going to take these blocks, and then we're going to insert them into our previous drawing that we did. We're going to do that in the next lesson. In this lesson, I'm just going to show you how to do the blocks. So what you want to do is you want to open a new drawing, and we're going to come here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set our units. So remember what I said when we were learning how to set units, you're going to want to do that. So come to the command bar, type in units, press enter, and then what we're going to do is we're going to set it to architectural. We're going to keep the precision at 1/16 of an inch. We're going to have our insertion scale in inches, and everything else we're going to stay the same. So just click OK, because that way we're all on the same page. Again, if you are in a country that uses metric most of the time, just bear with me and use the imperial system. So yeah, let's just get into it. So what are blocks? So blocks are things or objects in AutoCAD that you make that are a single object made of other objects. So you can have circles, you can have polylines, you can have other models and blocks put together to create a block. So let's say we want to make a couch. So we're going to be making a couch, so we can insert it into our drawing that I gave you last time, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a couch. So our couch is going to be probably about 10 feet long. So what we'll do is we'll just come in here, and we're going to make 10 feet, and we're going to draw it out maybe 4 feet. This isn't going to be a perfect one, but it's good enough for what we're using, and we're just trying to learn how to do blocks anyways. Another thing to note is create a new layer so you can get used to this. So go to layer properties, create a new layer, call it furniture, and then color it red. Press OK. Line type is going to stay continuous. Line weight, we'll make it a little thicker at 0.3 millimeters. Click OK, and then we'll get out of there. And then select the object we just drew, swap the layer over to furniture, press escape. So there's our furniture. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make the armrest. So you're going to come down here. I'm going to note one thing. A lot of the time you do this is going to be made for you. So what I mean by that is when you go into industry, a lot of the time you're going to be using blocks that were already created by someone else. So we're just going to come up here. I'm going to measure out 10 feet. Not 10 feet, sorry. I'm just having problems here, sorry guys. So what you can see what I'm doing here is I'm measuring using the line tool, because what you can then do is if I'm measuring out, this is one way I learned how to do it, you can just move it down a little bit. I can then select my object that I need to copy. I can type in copy. I can select the base point down here, move it all the way down, and it's exactly where I need it to be. So I'm just going to delete that. All kinds of tricks you can use in this program. Click line, go across. You're going to see it's not staying on my layer because we just switched it. So we're going to go here, we're going to switch it back, press escape. You're going to notice it switches back. So then just switch back to furniture, so now we're always drawing in red. Click on your line. We'll just cut it down the middle for simplicity's sake. So what we have here is we have our couch. This couch is placeholder. It's just what we're going to turn into a block. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going, after we draw our drawing, I encourage you to customize it as much as you want. Do whatever works for you. Once we're done that, we're going to select it, and then we're going to type in block. Another thing, and then you can click on that. Another way you can do this is just select it, and then you go to block, and you're going to see there's a create block button. So click create block, and it's already selected. So I'm going to go over that again. Select the objects you want to create a block. You can either type in block, press enter, or you can come up here, go to create block. So it'll be a create key here. Click create, and then we can name our block. So we're going to call this block couch. And then it's going to ask for an insertion point to, whenever you insert it into the drawing. Leave it as the base, unless you're like working way off from the base. I just leave it on the base. You can also specify and pick a point on screen. So, you can select where it's going to insert from. So if I select down here, it's going to insert from down here. So that's what I'm going to do. Block unit is in inches. For the description, you can just write couch for lesson 9 house drawing to be inserted. Again, that's something we're going to do next time. You can make the block annotative. Useful, but we're not going to do that right now. For the objects, it'll ask you a few things. You can retain them, you can convert to block, or you can delete. We want to convert to block. We're going to keep the units as inches. Open in block editor. So I am going to open that to show you what it is. And once you're all done with this, click OK. Then you'll be brought to the block editor. So the block editor is a very important tool. You can use it to create dynamic blocks. So I guess I will touch on this a little bit. So what a dynamic block is, it's a block that can be adjusted based on specifications you I guess, program into the block. So like you can stretch it out, you can make it larger, you can make it smaller, whatever you need. I've got a video on that, so I will upload that as well. It pretty much just helps you, create blocks that you can use in a variety of situations. So you can see here, you can set parameters. There's, you can make it move, stretch it. There's actions you can use. You can scale it, stretch it, all these other things based on points. You have to insert points. You gotta select the parameter to go with the point, and you gotta make the action work with the parameter. You can select where you want it to be pulled from. You can select where you want it to rotate from. And when you do insert the block, then it'll give you those options, and if you know what they do, it'll do that action that you want it to do. At this point, we're just going to close the block editor because we don't need to. It's going to say the changes you have made have not been saved. What do you want to do? We're going to save the changes to couch, and there we have it. We have our couch. So you're going to notice that our block is still up here, but now if you come over here and you click down on the block key, or sorry, if you click on insert, we have a couch block. So if you have a whole whack of blocks, they'll just show up here. We're just going to click on the couch. We're going to specify down here, and we're going to notice that our couch, it showed up right on top of our other couch because I made the insertion point down here on the XY, so it'll show up where we wanted it to. So we're going to just move that over, and you can just insert and move blocks as much as you need to. So we're just going to make the couch for now. What I want you guys to do, though, is I just made the couch, but I want you to make a recliner. I also want you to make a table. I want you to make a few furnishings for the house, and I want you to furnish the house as much as you can, because I want to see what you guys are doing. So once you're done with all that, and you created your blocks, you've inserted it, you've decorated the house plan as much as you can, I want you to then submit that to me, and I will look over it. And you're not getting marked on this. This is just for you, so you are starting to learn how to use the program. So I want to see furniture, or sorry, I want to see layers, I want to see furniture, I want to see, maybe details outside of the property lines. I want to see that you know what you're doing and you're learning. So, showcase what you've learned so far, and that's what we're going to do. So, like I said, in the next video, I'll show you, we're going to go over what I talked about in this video, and I look forward to seeing your drawings. So, I'll see you next time. We're going to learn how to use blocks in our drawing. So this is just really basic. So with the previous drawing we did the dimensions and everything I asked you to do the dimensions on. We're going to reopen that drawing. So I want you to reopen your house resource. I've already got mine open because I was working on it to show you guys what we're going to do. And I'm not going to hold your hand through this one. I want you guys to figure it out. You can go back and watch the other videos if you want. But this is just going to be, I'm going to tell you what to do. I want you to, furnish the house, and I want you to make your own blocks. So that's what we're going to do. So just open house resource, and you're going to see I've already been going at this. So in the garage, you can see I've been making a man cave type thing. I've got a carpet that is a block. I've got our block couch that we made before, just in a different layer. And then I have this table that I set here. This was just something I was playing with dynamic blocks. So with dynamic blocks, I'll just quickly go over that. As you can see, I can pull this back, and it adjusts how my block works. That is a more advanced feature in AutoCAD that we will probably get into later on, probably in section 2 or 3. But right now we don't need to worry about that. So here's what I need you guys to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to insert blocks. So there's a few things to note about this. So you need to know where your blocks are inserting to, you need to know where they're coming from, and you need to be able to get your blocks to where your drawing is. So there are ways to insert blocks on your cursor, obviously, but for the sake of this lesson, I didn't do that, so I could show you, because a lot of the time you get these issues. So if you come up here and you click insert, you're going to have all these blocks show up. So we're going to have 4 blocks. We're going to have my door block, we're going to have my carpet block, we're going to have a couch block, we're going to have my table set 2 block. What I want you guys to do is I want you to make a door block. I want you to make make 2 carpet blocks, so one for another area in the house. You've got your couch block already. If you don't already, go make it. And then I've got table set 2. I want you guys to make a dining room, a table set. I want you to make a bedroom. This is a bungalow. So go make those blocks. We've already learned how to make blocks, so I'm not going to go over it again. But when you're inserting a block, what you're going to want to do is come here and just click the one you want to insert. So it's going to ask you for a specific insertion point, and then it'll ask you, and then you can go and you can adjust the base point, scale, rotate, but we're not going to do that. So I'm just going to insert it. So if I come here, I click couch, I click insert, it's like, okay, well, where's my couch? Well, if I zoom out, you're going to notice I've got a couch down here. That was from me playing around with this project. And then we've got one up here. So my insertion point is all the way up here in comparison. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring that down. So you can either grab that or you can just grab the couch itself. You can just pull it down into your drawing. If you can't see it, if you can't see your block and it's frustrating you, you did download this file from me, so it should have my settings on it. But if it doesn't, then you can either go looking around, or what you can do is you can come here, click block, and if we come here, let's see, set base point, you can set the base point, the insertion point for the drawing, and then what we can do is we can just enter the base point in the middle of our thing, and it should just show up there. So that should fix it for you, so I'm just going to test that. Nope, it still shows up there. Okay. Well, let's troubleshoot this together then, shall we? So, yeah, okay, so that makes sense. So the base point is set to where you set it when you made the block. So that makes sense. Okay. So I have that issue with the couch, so don't do that. But when you're making your other blocks, make sure you set the insertion point of your block to the corner of your drawing. So again, we went over this in the block video. I'm not going to do it again. So what I want you guys to do is I'm going to just circle a few things here. I want you guys to furnish the man cave. I'm going to make this in dimension text so you can read this. I want you to furnish the man cave. I want you to create a bedroom somewhere in the house here. I want you to create a library and sitting area somewhere in the house. And I want you to create a bathroom and a kitchen in the house. This is going to help you use the program. So what I want you to do is I want you to create rooms. You're going to notice that this wasn't here before, this door and this wall. I added that. I want you guys to go in and I want you to add these things. You are also free to add a second story to this. So if you have like stairs, like, I don't know, right over here somewhere, you know, if it starts somewhere over here and you draw a staircase and then you go over and you create a second story, you're more than free to do that. You know, go and you've got to furnish all this. So when you're done furnishing this, I'm going to take a look at it and I'm going to determine, you know, if it looks good, and you will be able then to proceed to chapter 2. Again, this is all for you guys. You're not gonna be stopped from going to the lesson 2 because your drawing wasn't great. That's okay. Some of us are more artistic than others. I suck at this. I just do the engineering and the architectural work. I don't do interior designing. So if you just do it so you learn how to use the program. That's what I'm saying. So what you're doing now is you're learning how to create the lines. You're learning how to space things. You're learning how to create blocks. You're learning how to insert blocks. You're learning how to, where does the kitchen go? Where do different things go? And it teaches you a lot about AutoCAD. Another thing I want you to do is, if you can add dimensions to your spacing and everything in the blocks. So for instance, my couch here, if I come to my dimension and I pull it up, I want maybe the distance from the couch to the wall or whatever. If you don't want to do that, that's fine, but if you do want extra practice, please do that. And that's pretty much it. So that's how you insert blocks in your drawing. That's how we're going to use them in our drawing. I want you to use this template. If you're having issues downloading this template, that you shouldn't have issues downloading this template. I was assured that this would be okay. But if you are, you can send me an email, and I'll get back to you and send you this exact, drawing, the DWG file, so you can start working on it. So to end, I want you guys to, finish up what I just described and then submit it, and then I will see you in Chapter 2, more advanced functions of AutoCAD. We're going to be doing XREFs next week, so I'll see you then. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing XREFs. We're now in Chapter 2, as you all probably know, And in Chapter 2, we're going to go over some of the more advanced functions that are in AutoCAD, and we're going to start actually drawing things. So today we're going to, as I said before, we're going to be doing XREFs. So what an XREF is it's an external reference to an external document that's not in AutoCAD. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to want to open a new drawing. So what we're going to do is we're going to click New, and we're going to be brought to a blank space. Once you're here, go to the command bar down here, or type in XREF if you can, and then you will see the XREF command pop up. Press Enter, and you'll have this bar show up. So what this bar does is it allows you to import files for XREFing. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the arrow down here. You're going to see it's automatically set to DWG. We're going to do that, but you can also import images, you can import DWF files, you can import PDF files, but for the sake of this, we're just going to do DWG files. Please keep this in mind, and please remember to do this, because I'm probably going to ask you to do a XREF later on. So what you're going to want to do is click Attach DWG. You're going to want to go to the the file that your external reference document is in that you want to import. So you can see here you can import all other types of DWGs. These are all types of DWG files that I worked with. What I'm going to do is this is from an old chapter I was doing, so I'm just going to import this. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to click Open, and then once that's done, you're going to have this box appear on screen. So I'm going to just describe what's going on here. So you're going to see here is the scale. So what the scale is it's what you want to import the size of the drawing as a percentage. So 1 is a scale of 1. If you do 0.5, it's a scale of half. If you do 0.25, it's a scale of a quarter, etc., etc. If you know how to do fractions, you can do that well. You can also adjust it based on each direction. So you can make the X, Y, or Z directions a different how do I say this, percentage size of what it was before, separately from the whole drawing. If I click uniform scale, it's going to scale everything the same way, so it's going to look exactly like it looked on my other drawing when it wasn't in XREF, but if I change the other variables, then it will change how it looks and make it fit if I need to do that. For the reference type, you're going to see there's overlay and attachment. We're just going to use attachment. You can also do overlay. So overlay is, as you can see here, it's ignored when the drawing to which it is attached is then attached to an XREF of another drawing. We're just going to keep attachment because it's just an attachment, and you're going to get a preview here of what it's going to look like. You don't have this document. I'm probably going to send you a new one to download. If you don't have a download link, then you'll know if you do or not. But you're going to have to for this. So if you didn't download it, go back, download it, and then start the lesson again, and then come to this point. So you're going to have a file that doesn't look like this, but this is just one I'm using as a example. And then over here you're going to see the path type. We're going to keep it as a relative path. You can specify rotation and everything on screen. You can do the block units, whatever. Insertion point, we're going to keep it specify on screen. You can insert it specifically where you need it if you're doing actual precision drawings. We don't need to do that, but just keep that in mind for if you need to do that. Click specify on screen, click OK. And then what you're going to see is I have the bottom left corner of my drawing. I'm just going to place it where I want it, so I'm going to place it right here. And you're going to see that my drawing has come up, and this is all in XREF. So this is what an external reference is. Now, you can also import PDF files, other types of files as well. But for our course, we're just going to deal with importing DWG files because that's what I work with in most of my work. So that's how you load XREFs. XREFs will stay on your drawing. They are there. It's external files on your drawing, and it doesn't bog your system down as much because it just acts as like an overlay kind of for your drawing. So with that said, that is everything for the XREF lesson. If there's anything else that needs to be touched on, I'll be sure to make a lesson about it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to help you. And we'll see you in the next video where we're going to learn about M-lines, and that's really helpful when you're trying to draw walls. So we'll see you next time. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in the M-line lesson. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to do M-lines. We're going to learn how to edit M-lines. I'm going to show you how to use M-lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to first describe what an M-line is. So we're just going to open our house resource project that we had from before. Yours is going to look different than mine. I haven't adjusted mine from when I did the previous lesson where I told you to make it look nice. Yours is going to look way nicer than mine, but I digress. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw M-line. So I'm just going to scroll out of our drawing, and I'm going to type in M-line. So first I'm going to get rid of this, and I want you to do this too. Type in M-line. If you can't just type it into the command bar, press enter, And then what you're going to do is you're going to click a point and you're going to draw across. So you're going to notice that what an M-line does is it's a multi-line. This is something you can use when you're drawing walls, when you're drawing a building, when you need to get something up quick. It's also got a variety of other uses. You can see that it's harder to notice like where it's going, but M-lines are very useful in what they do. So just draw a box like this and don't close it or anything. Just get it as close as you can. So when you have an M-line like this, let's say I have another M-line. When I start it here, it goes across, cuts across. I've got another M-line. It starts here, it goes up, cuts across. That's very unsightly. So what we can do is we can type in ML edit. So ML and then edit, and you're going to have the multi-line edit command. Press enter, and you're going to have a whack of these commands pop up. So what we're going to do is you can see that there's a single cutout. You can cut all, you can weld all, you can delete, you can merge. So what we want to do here is we want to merge cross. So click merge cross, and we're going to merge this, and you're going to see it merged our cross together. We can also select this, and it merged that. But you're going to see there's an issue because it just opened that up. So how do we solve that problem? So what we're going to do is we're going to press escape. We're going to type in ML edit again, press enter, and then you're going to see there's a command called merged T. Click merge T. Click this. Click the second one, and you're going to see it gets rid of it like that. We didn't want that to happen. We did it wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this one first, and then we're going to click this one, and then it makes it proper. So you can see I had an error there, but that's okay. So we're going to do it on the other side now too. We're going to click the first one, click the second one, and it's going to open it up perfectly. We'll do it on the bottom as well. Click the first one, click the second one, do it on the bottom. As we noticed from before, you want to click the one that is horizontal first, and then you click the vertical one. So we're going to click the horizontal, or we're going to click the vertical one now, and then the horizontal one because it's in a separate direction, and then that's it. So then we click escape, and then we type in ML edit again because we want to get that corner good. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to click on, let's do corner joint. So we'll just click this, click that, and then the corner joint is made, and that's it. So you've pretty much done it. So you can see that there's a whole variety of tools here that make your life so much easier. You can do a single cut, you can do a cut all. Cut all is useful when you're trying to create a door opening or something like that, and then you can see that it just created a door opening right there, or a window or whatever. It's very small, but you can select it and make it as big as you want. So to show you what I just did is you click where you want it, click the second point where you want it, and then it'll make the opening as big as however big you did that. You can also go back if you type in ML edit. You can also weld all. So if I click weld all, it's going to weld. I can click that point and click that point. It'll just weld it back together. So this tool is a huge time saver, and I encourage you to use it when you're drawing a house. When you were drawing before, I didn't tell you about this because I wanted you to experience what it's like to have to draw polylines and squares and rectangles and lines and circles and everything without having this command. So now that you know how to use ML edit, I encourage you to use it when you're drawing your actual projects, because it will help you immensely. So with this all said and done, you can play around with this, do what I did, and then play around with this square and figure out how the other commands work with each other. Because if you look in here, if you type in ML edit again, you can see you can do a close T. I'm going to tell you right now, the ones we're going to use all the time are corner joints. We're going to cut all of them. We're going to do open T's, we're going to do merge T's, merge crosses, open crosses, and then we're going to weld and delete stuff as well. The other ones you don't really need to worry about in this class, but if you want to play around with them and figure them out and learn how they work, that's absolutely fine. So with that said, we're going to see you in the next video. I don't really remember what it's going to be about, but I'll see you in the next lesson. And again, if you didn't download the other drawing that I had in the XREF thing, please download that, because you're going to need it in a future video. So thanks again, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to deal with creating your first structure. So we're going to talk about what that entails, what I'm going to expect from you, and what we're going to do to get through this together. So the first thing I want to note is when you're creating your first structure, I need you to be, you don't have to be super accurate, but you need to be accurate enough that it's realistic. Like, I want you to set your units and everything properly, and I'll show you all that in a minute. But I especially want you to take your time and make something really good, because that's how you learn. For those of you who, I'm sure all of you bought this because you saw that we have an emphasis on design, and this is exactly what we're getting into now. The course gets significantly harder from this point on. Earlier, Chapter 1 was really easy. The past 2 lessons from Chapter 2 were pretty easy. But now you have to really knuckle down and put everything together that you've learned, and you have to learn more if you want to do other things. So what we're going to do is, I'm not trying to scare you, but you know, it is going to get harder. So just be prepared, and we'll get through this. So I'm going to show you what I expect. I'm not going to hold your hand for your first structure. I'm going to go over what I expect. In this video, I'm going to go over what I expect. In the next video, I will kind of guide you a little bit on what I need you to do and give you a rough outline of what you can kind of, you know, start with, but I want you to do the rest of the work. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to open a new drawing. So click New. I want you to type in units. We're going to set our units, and we're going to set this to architectural. We're going to keep it at 1/16 of an inch precision. We're going to make the insertion scale in feet, and then everything else will stay the same. Click OK. And it says, for use with architectural or engineering linear units, insert units should be set to inches. So we will switch that to inches. So we'll just click OK. So what we have here is a blank space. So number 1, set your units. We're setting our units to architectural inches, because that's what I'm going to grade everything in, and that's what everything's going to look like, and that's what everything's going to be. So that is the first step. You're already almost there. The next step is to determine, what do we need to do? So for starters, I'm going to give you guys a lot. Well, actually, you know what? You don't even need to do a lot. I just need you to do a floor plan for a basic building. So what this entails is having layers. So if you come up here, go to your layers. I want you to create a variety of layers, and I'm going to go through what I want the layer to be, what I want the color to be, what I want the line type to be, and what I want the line weight to be. So I want you guys to make one new layer, and you're going to call it walls. The color is going to remain white. The line type is going to be continuous, and the line weight is going to be 0.05 millimeters. Click OK. So now we've got walls. Click create a new layer again. We're going to type in doors and windows. The color for doors and windows is going to be a color close to bluish purple, index color 150. So that's right here. If it's another type of blue, I don't care. Just make sure it's a type of blue. Click OK, and you've got your doors and windows. We're going to have the line type as continuous. We're going to have the line weight as 0.09 millimeters, and then we're going to create another one. So then what we're going to do is we're going to type furniture. When we're done with furniture, we're going to make our furniture a green type color like we had before. I'm going to do index color number 94. That can be found up here. Click OK. We're going to create another layer. We're going to call this, what do I want? Sinks and fixtures. And this color is going to be a dark blue. So click a dark blue. Click Create. Then we're going to do cabinetry. And how do you spell cabinetry? Cabinets and bookshelves and stuff of that sort. So that's going to be, let's make that a light green or a neon green down there. Click that. So then we're going to keep all of these. We're going to switch the line type for furniture. We're going to make that 0.0. We're going to make sinks 0.0. We're going to make cabinets 0.0. We're going to keep all the line types as continuous. And that's pretty much it. So furniture, I'm going to tell you now, that's going to encompass everything like beds. It's going to be sofas. It's going to be, you know, regular couches. It's going to be chairs. It's going to be, you know, stuff of that nature. Sinks and fixtures is going to be, you know, obviously sinks, you know, showers, whatever else you feel like putting in. And, you know, cabinets is going to be bookshelves, you know, for dishes, stuff for dishes, like cabinets for dishes. Things that are wood in nature, things like, you know, tables that go, like coffee tables, tables that go beside your couch and other things like that. So that's what we're going to keep. You can pause the video and look here, and you can see the colors that we're using. We're using white, shade of blue 150, shade of green 94, blue and green. So those are going to be our main colors. Our line types are all continuous, and our line weights are going to be 0.05, 0.09, and 0, 0, 0, 0. And that's it. So once you're done with that, close this. The next thing you want to do is make sure your annotation scale is set properly. So what you're going to see here is you're going to see it's an ISO 25. So switch everything over to annotative right now. That will make life a lot easier. We're going to get out of that. There we go. And then for your blocks, what I want you to do is, if you have any blocks that you used in previous drawings, I want you to go through and you can use those, because if I recall correctly, I had you guys create a few blocks in a previous video. So go back, use those blocks as your drawing, and use them in your drawing. I encourage you to use whatever you want as long as it's a block. So, you know, create beds, create sinks, impress me. So if you don't know how to make a sink or whatever, then, you know, what you can do is you can just, you know, if you don't want to make it too fancy, you know, you can just do a rectangle like that, and you can, you know, just do something like this roughly, and then, you know, make it look like a sink, kind of, obviously. And then that's pretty much all you have to do, and then block it, create a block, and that's it. So block, sink, specify on screen, close block editor, and there you go, we got your block. So create blocks for sinks. Everything in the house, I want it to be, I don't need everything in the house to be blocks. I want sinks blocked, I want furniture blocked, cabinets do not have to be blocked, windows should be blocked, doors don't have to be blocked, but they would help you a lot. Just get into the habit of using blocks and everything. We're not running electrical, we're not running HVAC, we're just doing a basic floor plan. So you don't really have to do anything for this video, for this lecture. Just watch the video, listen to the instructions. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to use M lines for the main structure, or we're going to use polylines or an offsetting, whatever you feel like. Make sure your walls are spaced 4 inches apart. You know, for dimensions, you know, for annotation, make it 1 to 2 when it asks you this. If it asks you that, and you click annotation, click OK, and then we'll be able to use dimensions, and that's it. So we're gonna have to. Oh, that's another thing. In your layers, I forgot a layer. Click layer, and then click dimensions. I want all your dimensions. I need to see all your dimensions. It's good to get into the habit of doing dimensions, and do not forget to switch layers when you're doing things. So always switch layers when you're doing things. You can also draw everything and then make the layers, switch them later, whatever works for you. Just make sure that you don't forget to do that after. For text, we're not really going to use much text. Use all the commands you've learned. You know, one thing we will go over is hatching, but that's going to come later on. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are now in lesson 2 of our creating your own structure video. In this lesson I'm going to go over a few of the settings you should use, a few of the things you should be aware of when you're drawing your structure. If you haven't already, please go download the provided resource that I have either in this video or the last video. I'm just going to put it in both, so in case you missed it the one time, you'll get it the second time. And just download that, and that'll tell you what we need to do. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to create our first structure. So I'm going to show you what to expect. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So open a new drawing, or if you've already started, open your drawing. We're going to come here. I'm going to open the one I used. And I'm going to encourage you to use whatever you want, whenever you want. But in this example, I'm going to be using M lines. I encourage you not to model after what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is very basic, and it is not something that I want you to do. So with that said, let's get into it. So type in ML style. This is a command that we have not used yet. This allows you to adjust your multi-line styles. I already have one set to walls. So click new if you haven't already, and then I'm just going to click modify to bring me to the same thing, to the same pop-up. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you, you know, what your multi-line is used for. You can always come here and switch your current multi-line style. So you can have one for walls, you can have one for driveways, you can have one for roads. But in this case, we just need it for walls. So I typed in for the description, walls for buildings. Leave everything on the left side the same. Come over to the right, and you're going to see the offset is going to be, it should be set by default to 0.5. Drop it down to 0.1, and it'll give you a 4-inch spacing for your lines. I don't know why it does that, but that's just how it works. So leave it as that. Then click OK, or sorry, switch it to 0.1 for both the positive and negative values. Click OK. Click on the one you want to do, then click Set Current, and then click OK, and then that'll be set. The next thing we want to do is we want to type in units, and then we're going to come here. If you haven't already, make it architectural units. Precision is 1/16 of an inch. Insertion scale is in inches, and once that's done, click OK. For our layers, we're just going to create the wall layer for now. It's the same as the base layer 0, but I just made a new one, called it wall, and it's white, continuous, etc. So what we're going to do now is type in M-line. We're going to create a barn, I suppose. So we're going to go and start in this corner, and we're going to go down, and we're going to start drawing. So I'm going to draw over. You can see it looks really small, and that's because we are working in scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this barn, I don't know, let's make it 50 feet long, and then we'll make it 25 feet in width, and then we're going to do 50 feet long again, and then we're going to do 25 feet in depth. So there we go. So you're going to see we have our barn now. So we're just going to come here and learn what we learned last time. We're going to type in ML edit, and then we're going to create a corner joint. So we're going to select the lines, and we're going to join them together. And there, and that's all it is. So we have the outline of our barn. So when you're drawing your building, obviously, well, it might be a square, it might be a rectangle. I encourage you to do some more intricate work so you get the hang of angles and everything. Or conversely, you don't have to use M-lines. You can also use polylines or lines. Again, I'm not going to penalize you for that. It's whatever you are most comfortable with. So once you get to this point, since I'm doing a barn, I don't know what I want to do here. I think I might put stalls, in this portion up here. Maybe I'll put a few more down here. I don't know, for horses and cows or whatever. And then over here, I'm going to have a barn door. And I'm going to have a middle walkway that you can walk down. And then maybe in the back, I'll have a tub or something like that. So again, your structure, I don't care what it is. It can be a barn. It can be a public bathroom. It can be a home. Just don't make like a 10 by 10 shed. That's just ridiculous. I want, there's got to be a few more things so you learn something. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our barn door. So I'm going to do a few measurements here. I'm going to show you a few ways to measure things. I'm going to show you how different people measure things. So the one way to measure things is to go into the corner with a line. And since this is 25 feet, we come down to the middle, which is 12 and a half. 25.8, sorry. I'm going to come to this corner, the inner corner, because that's 25 feet, not the external corner. And I come down, we're in the middle at 12.6, so that's correct. And then what I'm going to do from 12.6 is I'm going to figure out, okay, how big do I want my barn doors to be? Barn doors, I'm assuming, are probably, maybe, well, they're pretty big. So let's do 4.5 feet for one side. So type in 4 feet 6 inches. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our line that we drew to measure, and we're going to type in a raise. Again, this is one way you can do it. There are multiple ways to do it. Some people don't like that I do this. I do this frequently, but there's other ways to do this as well. So once you use that, we're just going to type in copy. We're going to select the base point of the top of our door. We're going to come down and put it in with the other one. And then there we have our barn doors. So, okay, well, how do we get rid of this? So what we're going to do is we're going to cut open the wall. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to type in ML edit. And what I want to do is I want to do a cut all. So I'm going to select where I want this. So I'm going to select up here. And then I've got my second one down here. And I'm going to select down here. And then it's cut open. So you can see it's about where I need it to be. It's not perfect, but that's okay. We're going to go here, we're going to erase this, and we have an opening for our barn doors. So I'm just going to come here, I'm going to close the gap. And we've got the entrance to our barn, which is about centered. Looks about right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a new layer. So we're going to come up to layer properties. We're going to click new layer. We're going to type in doors. We're going to make our doors blue. We're going to click OK. We're going to make the line type different. I'm going to do ISO dash. Click OK. Click ISO dash. Click OK. And then the line weight I'm going to make as 0.15 millimeters. I'm going to double click to select my doors. And then I'm just going to make a basic door. So I encourage you to make blocks when you're doing doors. You don't have to, but it's encouraged. I'm just going to draw a line, so I'm going to make that line 1. You know, we're going to go like this. And I want to get rid of the white here. And then I also want to get rid of the white here. I should have just erased it before I went over it. And there you have it. We have barn doors. Usually you don't change the you know what the line type is for your doors. Like usually it's solid, but I'm just changing it to show you that, you know, this is kind of, you know, you can do that. So we got our door, we got our barn doors. Maybe it would be more appropriate if it was red. So maybe we'll go in there, we'll change the color to red. Perfect, that looks better. So the next thing we want to do is we want to figure out, okay, well, there's going to be stalls in here. How much stalls do we want? It's 50 feet, so let's say 10 feet per stall maybe. Yeah, let's do 10 feet per stall. So I'm going to grab my line, and I'm going to start it right at the corner here, and I'm going to go across. But first, I need to change my layers. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it stall walls. It's going to be a gray. We're going to click the X button, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to ML Styles. We're going to click New. We're going to call this Inner Walls or Stall Walls, and it's going to start with walls, our standard. It's not letting me make one new one. Just call it stall. Click continue. So we have it at 4 inches. Let's make it 2. So let's make it 0.05. And then this will also be 0.05. Click OK. We're going to set the stall as our current. And then we're going to type in ML line. We're going to start in the corner, and we're going to pull it across. But the first thing we want to do is we want stall walls selected, ML line, or M line, sorry. And then we're going to just pull this across. We're going to go 10 feet, and then we're going to go up, and we're going to match it to the wall. And then we're going to repeat this, M line. Start here, go across 10 feet, go up. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to fast forward the video for you so you don't have to watch this whole process. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in part 3 of the drawing. I'm sorry about what happened with the last video. It kind of cut off pretty quick. That's because I was running out of time, and I had to just start a new video, so I decided to create a part 3. So what you're going to notice is I made the M lines and I dragged it across. I created my stalls. I'm going to show you how I did that for a quick second, just so you have an idea of what was going on. So what I did is I typed in M line with my current style, and I selected where I wanted it to draw. So I'm just going to click here. I drew all the way out to 10 feet, and then I pulled it up, and that's pretty much all I did. Once that was done, I typed in ML edit. I pressed enter. And then once that was done, I just went and edited everything. I cut it out and everything. One thing to note is, I didn't note before, that you can use the regular trim command if you put lines down. So what I mean by that is, if I put just lines down, let's say right here, and right here, and I type in trim, then it'll trim the multi-line right there. So that's something that I did do. So just keep that in mind. So that's pretty much what I did, and then I mirrored and pulled, and then I mirrored this, and then I moved it down. So then we would have stalls, so it looks exactly the same on both sides. So then back here, I don't know, I'm probably going to have a door right here. So we're going to go here, and we're just going to create a door. So we're going to go up. I'm not going to measure this too much. Let's make it 2'6". So I'm just going to go across 2 feet 6 inches. Make sure you use the right parentheses when you have inches and feet, or else you're going to completely screw up your drawing. Just keep that in mind. Then type in trim, get rid of the multi-line, get rid of this, And then that's pretty much all you have to deal with. So then we're going to come up, we're going to erase this. We're going to switch back to walls. We're going to go to line, click that, click this, and then we've got a door opening right there. So what am I going to do here? So I'm going to have a little area here where, let's say, the farrier comes and, he cleans up the horses a bit. I'm probably going to have, a bunch of food, pellets or whatever that goes here, hay, storage or whatever. Or we could use one of these front paddocks for that. Or, stalls, sorry, not a paddock. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get a door back here. So we're going to come up here and we're going to keep this as a red door as well. So we're just going to draw our polyline door. I am going to erase these first. I don't know why I added them in. We're going to create our polyline. I am having problems here. There we go. Create your door. We got our front door. I'm going to add swings to these after. If you're wondering, I am going to add swings. I'm going to show you how to do that. The next thing we want to do is we want to create, let's say we have a few tubs. I'm going to select up here. So we're going to go to our layers and I'm going to add in, I'm going to make it, let's make it a type of green, and it's going to be, I don't know, hay bales, hay bale storage, whatever. And we're going to make it, yeah, we'll keep it dashed. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to create a few hay bales. You could just create one large hay bale like this to make the entire thing, just a massive area for hay bales, which I guess we'll do. So hay bale storage, and then down here we'll do like pellet storage or whatever. So hay bale storage isn't even selected. So come here, switch that. It's green now. Make a new layer. Other storage. We'll keep that green as well, but let's make it like more light. Double click. We're going to come down and do the same thing here. So this will be other storage. I'm basing this on an actual barn I used to work at, so if you're wondering why. So then down here we'll have like the farriers area. So we'll go here, we'll create a new layer. We'll call that, I don't know how to spell farrier, farrier/maintenance area. I guess you can't use slashes, and maintenance area. We'll make that an orangey type color. Click that on, and then we'll just do the same thing here. Now you can draw the mat, if you want to. You can draw a few circles for equipment. It's really the level of detail is pretty much up to you and whatever you want to do. So I'm just doing this because it's quicker to do. But feel free to be as detailed as possible and really start learning how to use the program. And then I think that's pretty much it. So the next thing we're going to do is, what we still need to do is, again, we need to add windows. We need to add door swings. We also need to add doors to the paddocks. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here. We're going to go to doors again, and we're just going, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to get rid of these. I'm just going to select all of them. So one thing you can do is if you click and drag to the left, it's going to select, your cursor is going to select everything that's within that path. So doing this, as you can see, I'm selecting the lines that I want selected. If I did this, it'll select everything in there. We don't want to do that. Go like this. Don't click anything when you're doing this or you will reset it. And then once we've got all that selected, type in erase, and that's it. Now, if you can recall, as I dragged from the left, everything that it touched got highlighted. If I do it from the right, only everything that's within that square gets selected. So keep that in mind. It's useful to know. So left, you select everything you touch when you pull it left, and when you pull it right, you select everything that's within your selection box. So again, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our stalls. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to draw one door, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to select my door, I'm going to type in copy. And then there's a few ways I could do this. I could either copy this, or I can create an array that would then fill all these gaps. So in this case, I don't have any measurements. So I think the best thing to do is to just select a corner of the door and then just copy it around. And you can see that this is pretty quick. And then I could also go here, type in array, and it's going to be a rectangular array, and then I can adjust everything as I see fit. So I don't want rows that are like that. You can see that you have to play around with you know, total between and everything, and I don't feel like doing that right now. But you know, I can pull this out, I can make it fit, I can pull this down, and then we'll get to a point where it does line up. But then I also want to get rid of the rows, so we'll just make 2 rows, and that's how you would do it with an array. So I've got an array on top of my copies. I'm just going to get rid of the array, so that's how you do it with an array. You can see how arrays are useful. And I just erased my main one, but that's okay. We'll just copy a new one, select our base point, and go in like that. And that's it. So we've got our doors, we've got our areas selected. We don't have our windows yet, but you know, that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our door swing. So inside of barns, you usually swing the door out, and they usually go quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an arc, and I'm going to create one. So I'm going to select, so hold on, what do I do? I select here, select the start point, specify the second point, and then I'm going to, oh, sorry, I completely screwed this up. I'm going to click arc, or sorry, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pull my door out this far. I'm going to arc it like this, and then I'm going to, oh, I'm going to do that so that the arc is then, you know, in a good position. Bring that back, and then I've got my door swing. So usually you don't have door swings like this, so I'm going to just change that back to the base layer. And also my arc needs to come out a little bit so that it counts. Usually we'll do door swings like this. You know, maybe for the sake of this project, just do that, yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and again, I can make an array of this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to copy it around. And then once I get to this point, I can then take these, I can type in mirror, I can select a base point that I want to mirror, and it'll mirror it the other way. So once I do this, do not erase the source object. You can then select your other ones. There's also a way to make it much easier, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to move. We're going to grab our corner, come down here, and then that's it, and then all our door swings are done. And we did that. We did 8. You could also go through and do all 8 of them individually, but that's how you do multiple at once, and you can see that it saves time. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do door swings for our barn doors. So I'm going to come out. So how far? It's 4 feet. 4 feet 6.8 inches. 4 feet, and we'll just do 6 inches. Comes out, and it just erased everything. So click line, click 0, 4 feet 6 inches. It comes out, and then I'm going to do another one here, 4 feet 6 inches, and then I'm going to take my arc again, and select my start point, select my second point, and I'm going to try and get this to work. Click that, pull that in. You're going to notice arcs will give you a hard time. Arcs are annoying, but they are very useful. So keep that in mind. Do that, and it's perfect. So we have our door swing for our main barn doors. We have our door swing for our, you know, interior doors, you know, and then we just need a door swing for this one. So just repeat the process. Select line. We're going to have this door actually open inside. We're going to have it swing to this direction. So our door is 2'6", so we're going to do 2 feet 6 inches. Take our arc, go here, and we're going to take this, pull it down, and then you've got your door swing. So I'm going to mention again, this is just an introductory course to get you to learn the basics of AutoCAD. You can only learn so much in the 2-3 hours that I'm teaching you. I'm just trying to teach you how you can do this. So with that all said and done, I could do windows. So, you know, we're going to do some windows. So windows are pretty easy to do. I just need to figure out where the center of this is. So 9 feet 8 inches. Let's say, you know, AutoCAD already does the math for you most of the time. I'll just do 4 feet and 8 inches. So I'll do 4 feet 8 inches. So now we're in the middle-ish. So what I can do now is I can create my window. Create window. That is 2'4" away from there. then we go up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull this back, erase, and then I'm going to trim, get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to create windows. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to call it windows. We're going to make it blue. We're going to make it a lighter blue. Get off. Create a new polyline. You can also do a rectangle. I'm just doing polylines, and there's our window. So once we do this, we can type in copy, and we can just copy it around. So what we have to do though is it's 2 feet 4 inches. So we do have to measure this, the distance between them. So what I'm going to do actually here is maybe I will make an array. We'll type in array. We're going to do a rectangular array, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to pull it to about the center, which is about there. It looks good to me. Then I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to make it line up with the middle here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that, and then I've got all my windows, and all my windows are in. Once that's done, I click Close Array, and my array is complete, and I've got my windows in. It looks good, and that's pretty much it. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to click Leader. We're going to go back here. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to call it, you can see how you can create a lot of layers. We're going to go to a lighter gray, and we're going to call this Detailing, or you can call it Text too. Enter, X, click leader, put the leader in the middle, call this hay bale storage, save text. We're going to create another leader. Come out. We're going to call this food storage, or whatever else works. Then we'll create another leader. Come here. Barrier area / maintenance, and then you could name the paddocks and everything, but we're not going to do that. So that's pretty much how you would draw your drawing. So what I want you guys to do is create something. Not it could be like this. It could be a barn. It could be a house. It could be anything you really want. Just make sure that it's bungalow level, so it's only one level. If you do want to be ambitious and adventurous, go create more. But this is how you would put together a basic floor plan. I can't stress enough how basic this is. It's just, again, to get you into the feel of the program. So once you're done this, we're going to get into our next lecture, and that lecture is going to be annotating our structure. So I already started annotating. I put the hay bale storage, food storage, and farrier storage, but we're also going to do our sizing and our dimensions and a few other things. So that'll be in the next video, and then after that we're going to do elevation views, and that's what we're going to do. So guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Hopefully this was helpful, and good luck on your structure. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now going to annotate our structure in today's lesson. So we are now on lecture number 17. Congratulations for getting this far. I'm hoping you guys learned a lot. But we're not out of the woods yet. We still got a few more lessons to go and the final test, and thanks for that. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to annotate. So we did partial annotations last week, or last time. I keep saying last week, sorry. So we did the farrier area maintenance, we did food storage, we did hay bales. But what we want to do is we want to get our dimensions up. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to text. We're come to our layers, and we're going to select text. We're just going to keep our dimensions as text, just to keep it simple. If you want to have separate layers, go ahead and do that. Just create a new layer and create that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to come back to annotation, and we want to make sure everything is good. So we can see that standard works well for this drawing for our leaders. So I'm actually just going to leave the annotation as standard again for the dimension style, just to see how it works. So we'll come here, go to dimension, and we're going to do a dimension. So we're going to go here, see if it works. It's a little small, so we're actually going to change it. So we're going to come out, go to annotation, go to our style here, click annotative, close, make sure it's set. Nope, sorry, it didn't switch. Click annotative from there, close, make it at a 1-to-1, go here, go up, and yeah, it's still small. So what we're going to do is go here, we're going to increase the size. So what we just did is we changed our annotation scale. So down here, this is something I should have talked about before, but I didn't. I apologize for that. This is our annotation scale. So this is going to set how large we see things for our annotation. So all the way up at 100, you can see it's way too big. At 1 to 2, that's pretty good. But let's just do 1 to 4 just to be safe. So we're just going to get rid of that. And you're going to see I also have this issue here now because I was playing with it, but that doesn't affect the performance of anything we've done. So we're just going to get rid of that. And we want to change our dimensions. So we're going to come here, go to dimension style, and we're going to figure out, okay, well, let's make it work better. So let's come here, annotation, click that, click new, we're going to click modify. We're going to change our unit format to architectural, click OK, close, and it'll be architectural. So that's what we want. So we're just going to leave it like that. Actually, you know what? 1 to 4 is a little big. Just do 1, 2. We'll go to dimension, and what we're going to do is we're just going to dimension the entire length of this wall. So I'm actually going to do it on this wall because it's the exact same, and up here I'm going to have a lot of little dimensions. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to go to the exterior wall, and I'm going to bring that down. And it's about 50 feet plus 8 inches, and the 8 inches is in between the walls. So that's good. So the next thing we want to do is we want to do our door, bring that up, do the distance from the door to the stall door. And we want to do for the distance from the inside, or we want to do the thickness of the wall here. Do that. We're going to do from here to the window. You can see that's overlapping, so I'm just going to put it down a little bit. Size of the window, we're going to just match that up again. And then we're going to do from this window to this window, and then I'm not going to have to do all the way around. So, because the window is measured here, this is measured here, so it's all going to be the same all the way across, and we don't have to do it on the other side because we're going to assume it's all symmetrical. So once that's done, we're going to measure from the bottom here to up here. So a good rule of thumb is to measure things that someone would have a hard time figuring out in the field. So, you don't want to give them drawings with like just the big dimensions with no little dimensions, because you need to give them the smaller dimensions so they can do the math to figure out what the other smaller dimensions are. So here I'm going a little overboard just to show you. And then over here I can do the measurement from the end here to here. I can measure the gap between the two walls. And then I don't need to do that over here. I also should measure the size of each of these. So I'm actually going to put that in. And then for each door here, these doors are going to be a little different. I'm going to do a different door. I'm just going to match it up. So one thing to do is please try and match everything up for the height when you're doing dimensions, because it's just easier to read. Everything else is going to be exactly the same. And then we want to do this. We want to come down here, do this dimension. We don't really have to do the dimension for this area here because, I've got stuff there, but it's going to be, you can kind of do the math and figure it out anyways. And then I'm going to come here, and we're going to do the radius. I'm actually going to also do the radius of the doors, so that radius is going to be here. I'm going to measure the doors. I'm going to measure the distance from here to here. Well, actually, I don't even have to do that, do I? No, I don't, because it's right on the end. Because I've got the dimension here, I don't need to worry about that. I'm also going to do the radius for these doors. Again, I'm only going to do one. And then that's pretty much it. So then another thing you can do is, I know I said we wouldn't really get into text, but if you type get your text going, you can type in text here, and we're going to say horse stall, and then you can scale it up. I'm just going to scale it up a little bit, make it look good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to place it in these other horse stalls. And that's it. So we got our horse stalls, we got our dimensions, we've got our radius for a few of the doors, and then we've got our leaders, and that's pretty much it. If you wanted to make notes on, if you have a specific type of glass you want to use for the windows, you could type in single window or whatever. I encourage you to do that. Remember, you can use leaders, multi-leaders, so just select the multi-leader and select the windows. And then I'd want to do it on the other side too. But that's pretty much it. So what we're looking for in this is just annotation. In the next video, we're going to do the profile views for this. The next one is going to be a little more difficult, but that's going to be okay. So hopefully this was helpful. Go annotate your drawing, do what I said, and you're on your way to success. So again, we'll see you in the next video, and hopefully this was helpful. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in lesson 18. We're doing elevation views for our structure. So the elevation views just show you, what your building looks like from the front, from the side, from the rear, from the whatever. We're going to just do the front and the left-hand side with the door. We are not going to do the other side, and we might not do the rear either because it's just going to be a copy of the front with no door. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start with the front of our structure. So the first thing you want to do is you need your measurements because everything is going to be the same. So we're going to come here. We're going to see that the size of our building is 25 feet, 8 inches from tip to tip. So what we're going to do here is we're going to grab a new line. We're going to go back to our walls, go to our wall layer, sorry. Go to polylines. We're going to come all the way over. We're going to click here, and we're going to do 25 feet, 8 inches. So that is the beginning of the front of our building. So the next thing we need to figure out is, well, how tall is our building? Well, I'm assuming our building is probably going to be about, let's do 15 feet tall, just for the sake of ease. So we'll go up 15 feet. We'll go up here 15 feet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come across, and 25, 8, the middle part is right here. So then I'm going to take this, I'm going to go up another 4 feet. I'm going to take my polyline, and I'm just going to draw a basic roof. Again, we could get into the math of doing roofs, but we're not going to do that in this video. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're just going to extend this out a little bit by 1 inch. Oh, it shrunk it by 1 inch. We're going to pull this back and extend it out. You know what? We'll just leave it for now. We'll grab a line and we'll extend that out. Let's do 5 inches. Grab this line, extend it out 5 inches. And then we'll come down. Oh, how far down did I go? We're going to copy that over. Come here. We're going to mirror it. We're going to grab it, move, put it there, and there we have it. And we're also going to trim this. Get that out of there. Get that out of there. And that's the basic front of our building. So the next thing we want to do is we want to figure out, okay, well, where's my doors? So we're going to come here. We're going to measure our doors. They are 8 feet, 3 5/16 of an inch. over from the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle again. Our doors are 4'6", so we're going to go to the middle. 4 feet 6 inches. And then I'm going to draw another line, 4 feet 6 inches. And then I've got my doors there. I'm going to grab a polyline. Oh, I'm also going to switch this to my door. I'm going to get my polyline, go to the corner of my door. My doors should probably be let's do 8 feet. Line it up, put it down. My layer again did not switch. Doors, and that's our main door. We're gonna go door, polyline. I'm gonna go in the middle, just to show that. I'm actually gonna switch our door layer from the dotted line to just a solid line, just so it's easier to look at. And that's that. So then when you're adding detail, we'll get into hatching in a moment, but that's the front of our door. What else is here? Just our door on the walls. So this is the front of our structure. This isn't very detailed. We'll get into that in a minute. So what we're going to want to do now is I encourage you to draw a line from wherever you, well actually no, you know what, we're just going to leave it the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this, or actually we'll get our walls. We're going to draw a line that is 15/16 of an inch down, like what it was before. And then we're going to grab a line and we're just going to draw this across, and we're going to line it up at the top of that, line it here. And then that way our roof is somewhat, decent looking. I'm actually going to pull this down just a little bit, just to make it look a little better, and that's it. Obviously, this isn't, the best elevation view. It's not fantastic, but it's just get the gist of it. Next thing we're going to want to do is type in hatch. So if you type in hatch, you can come here and then this will pop up. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to find a hatch that fits with our door. So there's bricks, there's different types of wood. We're just going to come down and we're going to find our wood one. You can select a color. I'm going to make the barn door, I'm going to make it red. I'm going to click that. I'm going to click that. And it's like, okay, well, my hatch looks a little interesting, and I want to adjust the pattern scale. So you can increase the pattern scale by clicking this arrow or typing in what you want. I'm going to make it a little different, so I'm going to go 5. Maybe I don't like the wood anyways, but let's see. I kind of like this one, so we'll click that. 10, 15, sure. We can rotate it. I want it to be this way. We'll make it 90 degrees. And there I have my hatching for my door. Now it's difficult to tell the center now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that, and I'm going to make it a blue color just so I can tell. So that's our door. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hatch our building. So type in hatch. Come here and we're going to figure out, well, what color, what do we want our building to be? Let's assume, well, let's do this actually. Let's say we want to have for 3 feet up, we want this to be bricked. Or we want it to be rock, sorry. So we come here, find our rocks. I've got gravel. Click, click. I don't want it to be the door color though, so we're going to make it a more gray. We're going to adjust the hatch to maybe 1 or even 0.5. I think 1 was good. We're going to click escape, and then we've got our rocks. You can see how this is coming together now. And then over here we can hatch the top of our structure. We don't want it all to be rocks. We'll find like a nice one here to hatch it with. Now you don't have to hatch everything, but hatching is nice to know. So we'll just go here. We'll find some bricks. We'll click. We got our bricks, but the hatching is way too big. So we're going to go back, make it 1. And we want to leave our bricks as red, don't we? And then over here I want to change this hatching. Maybe I'll make it green. And then this I can turn back into red. And there you have it. So we have our door, we have the front of our house, we have our bricks. Again, I don't have capping stones on my bricks. I don't have, anything else. Again, this is just a basic elevation view. Usually you'd have, foundations and everything in this, but and then you'd have use troughs and stuff. But we're not gonna get too into that because we're trying to get you the basics down as quickly as possible. So that's how you hatch, and that's how you do like a front elevation view, for instance. The next thing you do is, since we don't have a dimension for this, we can put the dimension up. Again, never forget to switch layers. I do it all the time. We're going to switch our layer to text. We're going to go dimension. We're going to measure this. We're going to measure this. We're going to measure from here to here. And that's, I think, it. That's all we need to do. Well, actually, we need to measure this too. And that's all we need to do. It's a very basic brick barn, and this is the front elevation. So what you do now is you type text. You get the text going. Front elevation. We're going to scale that a little bit. Go up. And that's it, and that's our front elevation. Now, again, I'm going to reiterate, this is not perfect. This is just a very, 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 very basic front elevation. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create our side profile view. So let's measure our side profile view. And it is 50 feet, 8 inches, of course. So we're going to get our polyline. We're going to go over. I'm going to keep it in line. 50 feet, 8 inches. And I'm going to go up as much as I went up here. So the tip of my building here is going to be in line with that. We're going to pull it over. If you have to measure, please don't hesitate to measure. It's better to measure than to not measure. And we're lined up. So the next thing we want to do too is we want to line up our roof with our roof. So I'm going to draw a line over because I can. And then I'm going to make my roof go across. Erase. And then we've got the gist of our building right here. So then we're going to change that also to wall. And then we're also going to go and we're going to measure, okay, what is it, 3 feet up. And then across. Change the layer to wall. And I'm also going to change my main layer to wall as well, so that we get the gist of what it looks like. So the next thing we want to do is do our windows. So we need to figure out, well, how high up are our windows, how far across are our windows. So how high up are our windows is up to us. I'm going to make it so that they're 2 feet up from the rock wall, so 5 feet up. I'm going to drop this as a guideline line. I'm going to make it neon green, and I'm going to see, okay, what is the spacing of my windows from the corner to the corner? So I come here, I measure from here to here, 3 feet, something inches, 13 feet from one end to the other end. And just so you know, I'm not doing the door side. I probably should have, but I'm not going to. So we're 13 feet across from the door side. So we're going to come here. We're going to go, we're 13 across. I'm just going to draw this. So we're right here. Next thing we need to determine is how big our window is. It's 5 feet. So then we go here, grab our windows, and we're going to draw our window. So it's going to be 5 feet, and then we're going to make it 3 feet. And there's a window. That is a very small window, but it's what we have. Actually, you know what? I'm going to increase the size. Make it 2 feet higher. Grab this, move this up, put it there, erase our guideline, and there's our first window. So the next thing we want to do is we want to figure out, okay, where are the next windows? So they're all going to be spaced evenly apart. So 4 feet, 9 inches, and 7/8 of an inch. So 4 feet, 9 inches, 7/8 of an inch. Whoops, sorry. Well, let's just do 410 to make it easy. Now, I want you to do precise measurements. I didn't because I'm just trying to show you what to do. And then what I do is I will grab this. I will copy it over. And I will go like this, and then I will go like this, and I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this, and I'll take this, and I will erase it. And then we've got our windows. And that's it. So, and then we go to our polyline. We come up. You know, you can make your window frames. I encourage you to do better than I am. I'm not going to do that. And that's it. So I'm going to continue doing this side of the building, the elevation view, in the next video because I'm running out of time. And again, like, you know, I know it doesn't look too pretty, but this is the start of how you learn how to do elevation views. So, and again, this is an introduction to AutoCAD course, so, you know, you can't be expected to do advanced things. So, you know, we'll see you in the next video. The next video, we're going to do the elevation views continued. So, we'll see you then. Hey guys, welcome back. We are now in part 3 of this video. In the other video, I made it too long, so I split it in 2, as you can probably tell, and I created 2 lessons from it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hatch this side of our structure. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do what we did the same time the other time, and we're going to type in hatch. We're going to hatch with brick. Pick an internal point. We're going to get out of the hatch. We're going to come here. We're going to make the bricks scale of 1. Type in hatch again. We're going to select our stone to come to gravel. Click gravel. We're going to switch this. We're going to make it gray. Make it 1. We're going to type in hatch again. We're going to select something in here that looks like glass. There's steel, swamp, triangle, zigzag. What would look good on glass? What would be glass? There we go, we got glass. We're going to hatch the inside of our glass. Now it doesn't look pretty right now, but it will in a moment. Going to escape. Select our hatching. Dial down the scale to 1. Switch it from red to the same color as our blue. I actually don't like it at that size, so we're going to go to 2. I don't like it at that size either, so let's go 3. Let's do 2.5. There we go. And then for the roof here, we're going to hatch that as well. So type in hatch. Usually, so one thing to note is usually when you're creating hatch, you usually have a layer for the hatching. I'm choosing not to do that because I just find it easier to keep it at the same layer and just change the colors. Because then that way I can take all of the hatching and I can hide all the hatching at the same time if I need to. There's pros and cons to everything you do in this program, but you know, that's just something I choose to do. You come in here, hatch steel, make it 1. Got our roof. We don't want a red roof. We want a gray roof maybe, or maybe one, yeah, more shingly type roof. And I'm going to rotate it as well, maybe by 30 degrees, maybe 45 degrees, and then it's perfectly straight. I don't like that. Well, maybe we will make it 5, maybe we'll make it 10. That's better. So that's the side profile of our barn. So I can also do it so I can show the barn doors like coming out here. I've chosen not to do that for my sake. If you come down to dimensions, so we're going to go back to text, go back to dimensions. We already have this dimension, but we don't have the dimension between the wall here and the window. So we're just going to do that, pop that out. And we also don't have the dimension for the window, so we're going to go here, pop that out as well. And then for the roof and everything, we don't have, I don't believe we have for here. Come up. And that's pretty much all we have to do for that. But you know, if you want to be nice, add a few more dimensions so that people kind of know what you're doing. It just helps them out, helps us out, and you know, whoever you're working with, they'll appreciate it too. So that's how you do the dimensions, and that is also a side elevation. This is going to be the left-hand side from the door. I'm going to click OK, and that's it. So that's how you do basic, very, very, very basic elevation drawings. I'm hoping that yours are going to be a little more detailed than mine are. Again, I just need to get this out quick, and I need to, you know, make sure you get the gist of it in as short as time as possible. So if you have any complaints, or if you have any issues you have, you know, with trying to hatch or anything, when I mean complaints, I mean like you're having issues with it and you need help, again, feel free to reach out to your fellow classmates or reach out to me, and I'll do my best to help you. So that concludes our lessons on hatching. I don't need to make a lesson on that anymore because it's been integrated into this. That's also how you do elevation drawings. So feel free to do front, side, do all the elevation drawings for your structure if you want to. I want a minimum of 2, and I want them to be the most complex. So I want a front elevation, and I want a left and or right elevation, depending on which one's more complex. So, you know, do that, and you'll get the hang of it really quickly. Make it look nice, and you're well on your way to getting somewhere. If you want to learn how to do the math to do, you know, for roofs and everything, that's something you kind of do in civil engineering or architecture. If you need any questions on that, then feel free to reach out. So, again, we're getting close to the end, and I appreciate this, and I hope you guys are appreciating this as well, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Hey everyone, welcome back. We are now in the lesson where we deal with viewports. So viewports are an important part of AutoCAD. It's how you get things into paper space, and it's how you figure things out. So as I said, we're going to deal with viewports. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to our Layout tab, click Layout 1, and we're going to have our first viewport, and it's going to be right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. We're going to go to here. We're going to create viewports, and we'll just make it white. Click OK. We're going to go to that layer, and that's it. We're going to come here. We're going to click our viewport. We're going to change the viewport to viewports, and then we're going to adjust the size based on what we want. So in this drawing, you're going to see that we're going to just here. Let's just expand it, make it a little bigger. Type it in. And then down here you're going to see, so once you get it scaled to what you need it to, I'm leaving a little bit of space here for the title block. We will be working on the title block next lesson. And next lesson is going to be the final lesson of this chapter. So, that's going to be very important. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to come here, come down here, and we're going to scale and see what we need. So you're going to see if we go to 1 to 2, I think we're going to leave it there. We're going to zoom in on the building enough, but I also want more viewports. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to escape from the viewport. So just double click out. I'm going to shrink it to about half the size of what it was, and then I'm going to have to expand it. So I'm going to come here, and instead of 1 to 2, let's do 1 to 1. Or, I'm sorry about that. 1 to 4. And then we'll have it like that. You're going to notice that the color we chose for our dimensions is very bad. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go to layer properties. We're going to click our text, and we're going to change that color to red. Click OK. And we'll get out of it, and you'll see the front elevation adjusted. So we have this all here now. So we're going to keep it at 1 to 4. Click the lock icon down here, because what the lock does is it locks your viewport so you can't move it. That's very important when you're trying to get this to work. You can see that we don't have our, if you come here, you're going to notice that our dimensions are not showing up. I'll show you how to fix that probably in the next video. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to type in viewport. We're going to create a new viewport. We're going to click single. We're going to click OK. We're going to specify the first corner. We're going to come down and specify the second corner. Click OK, and then there's our viewport. We're also going to set this one to 1 to 4. We're going to come over to our drawing here, and there it is. Because you can see if you scroll out, or from before, you could tell that you could still see some of your text, but you can't now. So once that's done, just lock that in place, and that's how you make viewports. So I'm just going to describe for a second what viewports are. So viewports are there so you can take your model and you can take different portions of the model and put it onto paper space, and that's what we're in now. So over here you'll see there's two types of space. There's model space, and then there's layout 1 and layout 2. Layout 1 and layout 2 are layouts for your drawing. It's called model space, or not model space, it's called paper space. Because it's your drawing, that's what it's going to look like on paper. So what you can do here is you can set your paper, you can set the size and everything. We're just dealing with the basic size of the paper right now, and it lets you just like see what it would look like on the sheet of paper. Now you're going to see there's this dotted line across. You want to keep everything within that dotted line because that's what's within the printer space. That's the size of the paper, and that'll keep you in line, and it'll make sure your drawing shows up properly where it should. So that's pretty much it. So viewports, it's important to know. Again, having a viewport layer is very good to have. It keeps everything concise and clean. When you're putting down viewports, just type in viewport in the command bar, create a new viewport, as I did there. So when I type in viewports, I'm going to have, I can just click viewports, and then I create a new viewport. We're doing single, but you can also see that there's vertical, horizontal. I could have just made one of those. You can do 3, you can do 3 again, above, below, vertical, horizontal, anything else, whatever you need. But that's what we're doing. You can also set it to 3D or 2-dimensional, and we're just going to do with 2D right now, and we're just going to keep it the same. Visual style, you can change it to conceptual or wireframe or whatever. We're just going to leave it the basics. You can also have named viewports and everything, but we just have active model configuration right now. So that's pretty much it. So just click OK, click X, and that's how you make viewports. It's very simple, very concise, very easy to do. And then once you're done with this, when you're doing yours, I encourage you to make 3. So I'm just going to do that for a moment. So I'm actually going to get rid of both my viewports here. So if you want to do this, click viewports, go to 3 left and above, or something like this, whichever one floats your boat. Come in the top right corner, pull it down to about here, and then you're going to see I have 3 different viewports. And make sure you're still on the viewport tab. So when you're within a viewport, it can get kind of confusing when you're trying to get things to properly work. Just so you know, your annotative style is directly linked to this scale. I know I said I'd do it in another video, but I should just tell you right now. So you can see that our annotative style is set to 1/2. If I change it to 1 to 4, and I come back to my layout, then it will show up again if I keep it in 1 to 4. So you have to keep those matched, or else they will not show up. So we're going to keep it at 1 to 4. I'm going to come to this layer, come here. So each viewport has its own set of tools down here. I'm just going to lock this viewport because that's where I want it. And then up here, Let's say I want to do the floor plan for my drawing. It's a little small, but you guys are going to be doing elevations. Usually you have a floor plan. The floor plan's on its own sheets. It's not on with the elevation drawings, but I don't have a third elevation, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go here. I'm going to make it 1:4. You know, it's a little, you know, it's not fully, it doesn't take the whole thing, but that's just because of the nature of this. I'm going to lock it, and then over here I'm going to go to 1:4, 1:4 scale again, and it doesn't cover my whole thing. But you know, you can play with the scales and figure out what works. Just for the sake of this lesson, I'm just going to keep it at 1:4, and then I'm going to lock that as well if that's what I want, and then I just double click off. One thing to note is when you're clicking into viewports, you have to double click in. To get out, you have to like double click out. Escape it doesn't work here, so because you're moving things in the actual model as well. So you just need to double click out, you need to double click in, and when it's highlighted with a black highlight around it, that's when you know you're in. So double click out and then lock. Always lock your viewports. Make sure your viewport scales are all set to 1:4. When it's locked, it will not change the scale. Once that's done, we will then proceed with creating our title block. So what's a title block? So a title block is what we do when we go to our layout tab, and it's what goes around our drawing, and it's what gives us the information in our drawing. I'm going to create a basic title block. Please follow along. Please use this in yours. I'll show you how to scale it and everything in the drawing later, but we're just going to create the title block for now. So just come up here, and what you're going to do is you're going to create a rectangle. So click the rectangle. We're just going to put it as our 0 layer. Let's just make it this. Let's just make it like this. Then we're going to offset this, and I'm going to specify the offset distance as 1 foot. I'm going to select the object offset. I'm going to offset it inside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw it over here, draw it down. I'm going to offset this. We're going to specify as a foot, so offset 1 foot, bring it in. Then I'm going to trim this just to make it look a little nice. One thing to note is you don't have to do the double lines like I'm doing. You can just do a single line, whatever works for you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a section for our firm. We're going to have a section for the date. We're going to have a section for our drawing revision number. We're going to have the company and everything like that. So I'm just going to come here. I'm going to come down, draw a line there. I'm going to offset it. And it's going to be 1 foot. Offset that. And then I'm going to trim again. Again, I don't have to do it so complex, but I'm going to anyways. And then I'm going to copy. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to stick it here. I'm going to trim again. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. And I've got my main sections. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line here. Draw that up. And then I'm going to offset this as well by 1 foot. Offset. Then I'm going to trim. Again, this is a pretty thick title block, but you know what? I'm actually going to move this. A foot's quite a bit. Move that over, make it look a little nicer, and then there you have it. So I'm just going to keep it basic and simple for you guys for this one. So all I need is your name, you know, the date, and then I will have a section for, you know, drawing revision number. So just so then you know what that is. 6 inches offset. Like that. There it goes. Trim this again. Again, I'm just doing this the difficult way. You could just do straight lines. I probably should have done that, but you know, you don't have to. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to get our text. We're going to go to our text layer. Type in text, and what we're going to do is we're going to come to the corner, and we're going to type in what we need. So I'm going to type in title, or I'm going to type in company. Sorry. I'm going to type in my company. And then I'm going to take this, I'm going to drag it over, I'm going to rotate it like that, and then I can scale it as big as I need it to be. So I can type in scale, And then I'm going to keep this scale for the rest of it too. So I'm going to scale it by a factor of, let's do 6.5 feet. Okay, that was way too big. Sorry, 6.5 inches, not feet. That's still way too big. Okay. Let's do 2 feet. Or no, 2 inches. That's better. So then we take this, we're going to move this. We're going to move it into the corner here. And then there's our company. And then we have to remember what we scaled that by. So we scaled it by 2 inches. So that's what we're going to remember. Then we're going to come in this corner. We're going to do drawing number. We're going to call it A23, or A123. Scale. Now you could scale all these at once at the same time, but I don't want to, just because this way you guys know what's going on. We're going to rotate. Now we're going to move this up, put it in. And then you kind of get the picture. And then what you do is you put your name here, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that as well. I'm just going to use an example name. Name. Example 1. I'm going to scale it. Again, scale it by 2 inches. Again, rotate. There is a way to have it so your words and everything is by like on the same angle and everything, but you know, we don't need to deal with that right now. Come here. We're going to call the we're going to go to title, and we're going to call this I'm just going to call yours whatever you want. I'm just going to call mine barn example for course. I'm again going to scale this by 2. Usually the title would be bigger, but you know, in this case it doesn't need to be. I'm going to rotate it, pull it down, and fix it. I might actually scale this larger. I'm going to scale it a little larger. I encourage you to do the same, because usually they are larger. Title usually is larger. And then down here, let's just put the date. Usually title blocks are a lot more complex than this, but this is just, again, basic title block. So then we're going to do the date, and that would be, right now for me, it's March 22nd, 2024. I'm going to move. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to scale. Keep it at 2 inches. And there you have it. Usually, you know, your title would be this direction. I'm putting everything the same direction just so it flows nice. But sometimes you'll have like the bottom here, the bottom one here, that'll be actually oriented so you can read it better without cranking your neck over. And there you have it. So then once we have this, I encourage you to grab, grab everything that stays the same. So the, the company, not the drawing number or anything, but if you go in here and you get rid of this, you can copy the whole thing. So get rid of the dates, get rid of the name, get rid of the drawing number, keep your company as whatever it is, and then take this and turn it into a block. And we're going to call this the title block. We're going to specify on screen, blah, 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 everything's good. Okay, we're going to open it in the block editor. And then this is going to be our block. So dynamic blocks come in handy here. So you've got your actions and everything here, but we're not going to edit and do that right now. We're just going to close the block editor. We're going to save the changes to title block, and title block is now red. So once that's done, we come here to our drawing. We go to insert block, and we can insert our title block. So now that we've got our block into our drawing, we want to make sure the block fits. So again, we're going to just move it back into the bottom right-hand or bottom left-hand corner, sorry. So we're going to move it, and then we're going to edit the block in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our block, right click, and then we're going to see edit block in place. So this allows us to edit the block in place of where it is right now. So we type in, we just click that, we click title block, okay, that's good, click OK, and now we can make it fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, we're going to pull this up, we're going to pull this up, and we're going to make it go into our corner. We're going to stretch it. Another way of doing this is you make dynamic blocks. So that's something that I'm actually going to make a video on that. That should be the next video in this series. You should be able to see it. We'll just stretch all this back. Stretch it back. Make this fit. You can see it's a little janky, but we're going to fix that. So we're going to go here, erase, offset, click the object we want to offset, click that, so we have a nice border again. And then we're going to take this, and we're going to move this all down. So we'll grab this, go in the corner, we're going to shrink this and make it fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these three, again, this is a very tedious way of doing it, but it's the way you got to do it sometimes. We're going to move, and then we're going to shrink. So we're going to take this, take this, take this. We're going to scale it down to 1 inch. It stayed the same. We want to do half an inch, so then it's half as large. So we'll do 0.5 inch. So now it's small. We'll take this, we're going to grab the rest of it. We'll scale it down. And we're going to do 0.5 inches. Now it's much smaller. So we can see we didn't get our name, but we can just scale that itself. It's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of our block, our title block, we're going to put it in place. Take the name, put it there, take our title, move it, I'm actually going to make this a little bigger, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to move this up. Again, usually you're going to have multiple areas that aren't, it's not just going to be the company, the name, the drawing number, and everything like that. Usually it'll be a little more detailed than that, but for the sake of this, we're just doing this. Take this, grab that, grab this. We're going to move it up. We're going to line it up. Take the title, put it in there, and then that's how you would do it. So. I encourage you guys to go watch the next video in the lesson. So we do the dynamic block, so it's much easier than this. But once you're at this point, you're just going to want to scale everything back to where it should be. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move it down, put it here. The date's not going to be a big box, but the title is. So maybe I even want to scale it and make it a little bigger. I'm going to leave you guys up to it, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to make my title bigger because that's all I need. I'm going to take this, move, grab this, pull it down, take the title, pull that down as well, and then that's pretty much it. So what you're going to want to do is, I should probably actually move this down, make it look a little better. There we go, that's more even. So once you're done this, and once you're done editing your block, this allows you to edit it in here. You're going to want to type in ref close. So this closes the reference. We're going to save. All references will be saved. Change it, click OK, and there you have your title block. It is in. It's where it needs to be. And that's it. So one thing to note is when you have the double lines that going around, you're going to want to shrink your viewports to match up with the inner line. You know, if you don't do that, because I didn't go over that before, that's fine too. So then just, you know, you can type in your text and everything, put in your title. You can edit your text in here, put in your title, put in your date, put in your name, drawing number, everything like that, and everything will be there. Or you can just go back to model space and you can adjust the title block in here again. You can see it changed in here. That's okay. And that's it. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing some dynamic title blocks. So in this video, we're going to just go over you know, how we can make our title blocks dynamic, how we can adjust the, you know, parameters and everything in them, and how we can make our title blocks work for us instead of us working against our title blocks, because I'm sure we've all been there when our title block has not cooperated with us in Paperspace and it has sucked. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a block. So create your title block. This is just a basic variant that I have created. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select this and we're going to turn it into a block. So grab it. I have this already as a block, so I'm going to explode it. And then I'm going to create it into a new block. And then we're going to name our block Title Block Dynamic version 2. That's what I'm going to call mine. I'm going to specify the base point of insertion as the bottom left-hand corner. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to select the objects that I want in this block. I'm going to press Enter, and there we have it. So now we're in the block editor, and we're going to edit this title block so that it behaves in ways that we want it to behave. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get it so that our title block can stretch. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come down to parameters. We're going to click linear, and then we're going to go from the bottom left-hand corner to the top left-hand corner. We're going to click that. We're going to get another parameter, click linear, the same one. We're going to do that again. We're going to make distance 2, and that's what we're going to do so far. So the next thing we're going to want to do is come to actions. So in actions, you're going to see the stretch command. Select the stretch command, select your first distance. Then it's going to ask you to specify the parameter point to associate with the action. We're going to want to do this corner here where this triangle is, so just select that. And then we're going to create our stretch frame. So our stretch frame is going to go from here to, okay, we're stretching up, right? We're stretching up. We want the stretch frame to be that. And we're going to select our objects to be stretched. So we're going to select that, we're going to select that, and then we're going to press Enter. And then now when we grab this triangle, when we have our block, it's going to stretch it upwards. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to repeat the process. We're going to select stretch. We're going to select the parameter to associate with it. We're going to select the point on the bottom right-hand corner now. And then we're going to create the stretch frame. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw our stretch frame this direction. We're going to bring it out like that. We're going to select the objects we want to stretch. We want to do just the frame in this case. For the other parts of this, so for the inner block parts, I'm going to make it so they scale. So then that way you can scale it and make it work. You can always move these things around and stuff too when you're playing with your title block, as we've all found out. Or you can just get rid of them. Or you can also create an entire stretch command, which we will get into in a minute. So once we've selected our objects, we can do that. We'll press Enter, and then we've got that set. So I'm going to show you how this is going to look. We're going to close the block editor. We're going to save changes to dynamic title block version 2, and we're going to select our dynamic title block, and we're going to pull it. And it's going to increase in size wherever we need it, whenever we need it to, at any moment in time. So this is what's good about it. But you're going to notice we have issues with this right here. We have issues with our actual title and our actual, other thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back in. So click your block, right click, go to block editor, it'll bring you back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a scale option to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our parameters. We're going to select, what are we going to do? I guess we'll select a linear point, and I'm going to put it in the, let me see. I'll put it from the top to the left here. I'm going to pull it out. And then what I'm going to do is go to Actions, go to Scale. I'm going to select my parameter. I'm going to select all the objects I want in that parameter, so all of this is going to scale. I'm going to press Enter, and then now that should scale when I pull this out. So another thing you can do too is if you want to scale the entire block, then what we can do is we can add another parameter. In this case, I think what we're going to do is we will use we'll just use another linear point. I'm going to do it in the center this time so that we know that it's going to be scaling. I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm going to type actions. I'm going to go to scale, select my parameter, and then I'm going to select the entire drawing that I have. So I'm going to select this, I'm going to select this, I'm going to select the outer layer as well, and then I'm going to press enter. And then that should allow me to scale the entire block. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go test this. Just so you know, when you're playing with parameters, you can use parameters, whatever you need to use them for. Linear is good for scaling and stuff like that. So we're just going to close the block editor now. We're going to save the changes, and now our block is saved. So you're going to see we have all these different points. Now, all these points are associated with the distances we input before. So as you can see here, this one still stretches it up in the horizontal direction. This one still scales it in the vertical direction. This one now just scales the main title block portion. This one here scales the entire title block. And this one does the exact same. So what you've got now is you have a dynamic. Oh, I've got a problem there. I didn't select that accidentally, but you get the picture. But what we have now is we have a title block that is dynamic. We can change it, we can scale it, we can adjust the sizes as much as we need to. What else you can do is if you go back into the block editor, is you can come in here and you can add, so as we can stretch it, we can also stretch these inner portions as well. Since I showed you how to do this, that's you can do that on your own time, but that's how you can create a dynamic title block. If you need any help, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in.